Early April 2025 with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails and video cuts. So I'll start with a standard introduction. This is where we live at 22 Armitage Court with warning signs about fierce guard cats. And this is so-called Robin's Corner, where GPS was tested from the late 1980s. Down at this spot. Yes, that's the garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present. And yes, that's stuff that still hasn't been brought round. There's Snoopy's robot boat with Snoopy the Viking. No chance for doing any work on that recently. And yes, there's the oak tree that sprung up from an acorn. And yes, that's the accommodation for an owl that has never taken it up. And yes, Snoopy's on static test. Sorry, it's windy, so sorry if there's wind noise. Yes, there's the accommodation for fierce guard cats with warning signs and armed mice as well. But there are warning signs. Beware of the mouse, etc. And yeah, the bicycle I've not had a chance to use. Here's our guard cat Toadie. Hello Toadie. You decided to patrol the premises, have you? Yes, I thought you had. So he's managed to open the door, and I find it very difficult doing stuff like this with a smartphone. I normally use a pocket camera, but I've had problems with those. Anyhow, yes, that's the flatulent fairy, and peanuts everywhere for wildlife that comes. That's the peanut feeder. Yeah, that needs topping up. And yes, other cameras. There are cameras everywhere. Yeah, sorry about that. And I'm obliged to give warnings before we go into the house, health and safety warnings, and I must emphasise these are just jokes, because people say you can't say that. Right, so yes, cameras everywhere. There's one. Closed circuit TV, hidden TV cameras inside and out this house. Sound and video is monitored in local houses and elsewhere. No trespassing. Violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. But this is probably more important, the signs over here, because that's my study in there, where I work. I hardly spend any time actually. I'm doing work and all sorts of things. Do not disturb. I'm disturbed enough already. And yes, this one's quite important because it's not just cameras, it's water squirters. Home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock, beware of web cameras and water squirters loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these, or would he? Just a joke, of course. Now, yes, the robot boat appears in other videos, many videos, but I need to point out this is the camper that takes Snoopy down to the coast, and it's got battle damage on it. Battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. So yeah, I think it's safe to go into the house now, and one of the first things we can do is look at a mirror. I don't know if, yes, this should come out. So I'm using the smartphone at the moment, and yes, that's the expensive Renoir. And right now, the women, that's June and Samantha, are playing tennis. Yes, there are trackers everywhere. So they're at the Royal Ascot Tennis Club, and they'll probably be leaving fairly soon. Yes, so this is our lounge. You'll see in the photo trails, and compared with the rest of the house, it's not too bad. This is Robin's naughty corner, where he's got nice, comfortable furniture to sit and eat a meal and watch the closed circuit TV, and some of the cameras are working. So that's one covering the porch where we just came in, and that's the front drive. Yes, other hobby projects. And the important work in this set of photo trails are the work on the pond. And we've actually, I'm going to go through, yes, it all needs tidying up and we'll get round to it. But my priority this winter, and particularly the last couple of months, has been finding and fixing leaks on the pond. And we've just got to the stage now in the middle of April where I think most of the leaks have been removed, but they're still working on it. And we're at the stage, sorry about all this blossom. And we just went out and got plants, and so we're at the stage of putting in plants both around the pond and in the pond. But you can't see very much there, but the photo trails may show where we've got to. And next job will be clearing up all this stuff and putting it in the right place. Yes, that's the concrete pussycat, one of the guards. So I think that's, just gives you a flavour of it. But I may as well walk down the garden while I say these few words. Yes, the telescope, haven't had a chance to do anything on that. One of the purposes of these photo trails is as an aid to my memory, but also to communicate with anybody who might be able to help us. I'm just walking down now because there's loads of work needed, and so far I've not had any help in recent months. So yes, this is their third pond. Oh, I beg your pardon, not pond, a bog garden. So the water flows into that after coming off the roof into the first pond, and then overflows into the second pond. And the good thing is that our second pond has been the haven for wildlife while we've been working on the top pond. So newts and tadpoles, frogs and toads. I'm just coming round here, part of the tour. I'm going to trip over something. Yes, temporary solution there in terms of protecting that. But the pump does switch on. In fact, I wonder if I'll get a chance to do that. I'm grabbing this opportunity while I can. Yeah, that's the workshop area. Matter of what's important. This is where we've made very good progress, mostly with the help of Paul, to provide space for things. And quite a lot of things have been put in the right place, but there's plenty more space. And of course, there we go, there's a drill that I was using yesterday on charge. Yeah, so plenty of scope to put tools away that are out, and of course start moving stuff into the right place from some of the rooms. And this is Robin's laboratory. Yes, robot boat stuff mostly around there. That's all got to be tidied as well. There's the smallest robot boat we've had that functions. Lots of other stuff. So what I was going to show you was that the fountain works. Still other little engineering jobs. You can see plants are coming out all the time now, and part of this is of course where things are. They work on that outside television, and tucked away in here we've got, if I plug that in, he says, waterproof box. And there we go. That supplied power through to the concrete lady fountain. So, and what's on the queue of things to be done is drain this pond out, because we've got strong wind, which is good drying weather. Don't think we could likely get rain, but it means that work can be done there. So I think this is the point. You've seen the untidy games room, where we can go into those long photo trails, and at the end there'll be some standard stuff shot a year or two back on the subject, very important subject, of global warming and the prophetic words of James Lovelock, and also my thoughts about the DVLA, the Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency. So now into those long photo trails. Tuesday the 1st of April 2025, so-called April Fool's Day. Yes, that's the spaghetti coming into, well, ready to harvest practically, not just coming into flower. Yes, Tuesday the... And yes, there's Toadie inspecting my work. Loads of work on the pond, and of course, after what must be 2 months of work every day, lots of materials, hard work, still, the problem's still there. Yeah, back end of the day, June's rustled up food, and yes, looking at the closed circuit TV reminds me the peanuts have got to go out, so put those out, and June's watching the tennis, and I decided to have an early night. It's been a load of hard work. Yeah, so here's the photos in the order shot. Yes, the website has the details about the spaghetti trees, all the facts that can be validated, and yes, a few photos there. That's the actual spaghetti tree that grew from a seed a long time ago, and it can be mistaken for a cherry tree. Anyhow, what else have we got? Yes, it's mostly work on the pond, as most of that latest video that went up, the what was it, late March 2025 video. And there's Toadie inspecting my work. Yes, and processing of the video is what took some time. I think it was best part of 24 hours processing before it could go up onto YouTube. And yeah, a few snaps listening to the Radio 4 news. It looks as though I've decided to let the pond drain in the evening to leave it for the next day. No, I didn't. I saw some holes that could be... Yeah, more holes appeared that I hadn't seen before. Sometimes they were crevices under rocks, and of course you don't know what is further down that crevice. So I used some of the water that was still there and mixed up cement to stuff into the holes, and of course any other spots I could see around that were suspect. Usual rapid mixing cement. Usually mix a little bit of PVA with it, with the water. So looking for any other spots while I'm about it. Yeah, it's hard work. So 20 to 7 in the evening. Yeah, there's the spaghetti. And I think I decided to leave that drying overnight. And June's rustling up dinner, which are chicken wraps, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at the closed circuit TV, my naughty corner. So they're eating in the kitchen where they can watch the tennis. I take my chicken wrap into the lounge and the naughty corner, Robin's naughty corner. I can enjoy that and look at the closed circuit TV. Oh, that reminded me, I hadn't put the peanuts out. It's sufficiently late in the day that the birds don't come and take them all. It's usually the foxes that take them, but it varies through the year. So also putting the peanuts out at the front, and there's a great big box of peanuts delivered the day before. That would have been on the end of the other previous photo trail of end of March. Yeah, that's working still. That's the test rig, testing a servo to death. It's been running for months without any problems. They're watching the tennis. I have a relax. 8 o'clock. Now I think I'll go up early. I've had a hard day's work. So that's the end of the photo trail. April 2025. Starting with the summary of the photo shot. Yes, there's Samantha helping June clean the skylight windows in the kitchen. Earlier they played tennis. And of course, most of this is about Robin's work on the pond. With the weather's good, and of course they're relaxing out, and water's still coming under the fence next door. So problem hasn't been fixed, even though every day I find another potential source of leaks. Had a bit of a doze, not for very long. Yeah, 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. Lots of other things have happened, but main activities related to the pond. And yes, I thought another tool for the job. That bin is now suitable to bail out. All hard work, of course. And the final stage is mopping it out with that old sheet. So I've got better tools for the job. And then I'm finding places I'd missed earlier. Holes often disguised under rocks. And you put your fingers in, and then I thought, right, very messy job, but stuff clay in. And of course I've got some of the clay on the camera. So I had to clean my hands and the camera as best I could. At least the camera, yeah, fingers crossed that might fix it. And yeah, June's watching tennis and rustled up food. This is the back end of the day. I eat in the naughty corner. Then the closed circuit TV reminds me I haven't put the peanuts out, so I unpack the box of peanuts that were delivered the earlier day. And yeah, update the COVID page with the latest graph for total deaths. Much wider subject than COVID, and a useful set of things. That's the end of the summary. So now the photos as shot that day. 9:15. Yes, there's the women at tennis on the tracker, and go outside. Yes, I'd left the pond draining overnight to check out the spots I'd done previously, so then put the tap on to fill the pond, which takes about 3 hours. I've noticed today that it's now about 2 3/4 hours to fill from being completely empty. So fingers crossed, he says, he hopes that sorted it, but in hindsight it didn't. Yeah, so what we got now? Well, he's keeping a nitty gritty record of exactly what I'm doing on the pond in terms of water levels. Yes, and yeah, there was processing of another video not far from being done. And there's Samantha helping June clean the window of the roof windows, if you call them that. And that's, yeah, video process. 12:15 midday. Temperature nice, 15 degrees centigrade. If my voice sounds a bit croaky, it's because I went through a heavy cold and cough for several days, which didn't stop me working, but did stop me socialising in the village. I didn't want to spread it around, even though it's probably harmless to most people. Yeah, so that's a few snaps looking around. Yes, I can see some water coming out still outside of the fence, so he's looking down for other leaks. It's all a case of inspecting carefully, and of course one can't always catch them. So look, grabbing the chance that the sun was out, take a few snaps around the garden, including the sundial, so I've got record of how accurate or inaccurate it was at various times of the year. And it's a snapshot of the garden, right, just above 15 degrees centigrade. Lovely and warm, the women are out relaxing in the sunshine. Robin, of course, keeps on working too. And yeah, so still doesn't look good in terms of water coming out. And of course the best test at the moment is to go next door and look over the gate, and there it is, as bad as it's ever been, and for a long time, when the pond is completely full for whatever reason, filling it or rainwater, then we've got that problem, which is most annoying to them. And it's annoying to me that we haven't fixed the problem yet. Had a bit of a doze, not for very long, that all helps. 3:05 in the afternoon, and oh yeah, the spaghetti's coming along nicely. Haven't harvested it yet, and yeah, still looking around for potential spots. And it often happens, you do find spots that you hadn't seen before. Yeah, so that looks as though I'm siphoning the water out, ready to look more closely and fix those suspect spots. That's processing of a video there. Oh look, lovely warm temperatures, 17 degrees centigrade. That's the bilge pump doing its work, pumping water out. That's another ½ or inch it takes out, and just a little bit of cement needed to reduce the amount that it spills across to near the fence rather than flow down into the second pond. Oh yes, that video which was loading up onto YouTube, the latest one, the late March 2025, that is practically published on YouTube. That was all going on at the same time. Putting things, oh no, that's where I modified that spare bin, because that rim was stopping me scooping down as deeply, probably losing, best part of an inch. So that's a better tool for the job. And that's it before started scooping. So now scooping it up. Oh, I see some of the spaghetti had fallen into the pond, but I couldn't recover it. And of course the broom helped sweep water. Yeah, hot work. But he says, make sure you put things back in the right place. So that's that. Not put things back, it's get things out. Another tool for the job, which is that old sheet. So when I got the water out as best I can by bailing, I then trod on the sheet to soak in it, and then put the sheet up to dry on a chair. So it's very low, temperature's still nice and warm, 15 degrees centigrade. Yes, hot work. And oh yes, and that was amazing. The photo that was supposedly automatically chosen out of the many thousands in that, was it 4.3 hour video, was that one of daughter Michelle with Romeo. Yeah, now I'm seeing spots that I'd missed before. They were tucked away on the edges of rocks and things. So the answer was to fill those. Yeah, look at that one and that one. You don't know what's behind there. The answer was to use clay, but it was very messy clay to begin with, so I could stuff that with my fingers as deeply as I could into that hole. Yeah, what a mess. So better wash my hands. And of course I'd got it on the camera, cleaned the camera as best I could with wet tissue. Fingers crossed, he says. So of course one has to use cement on it as well. That's the fast Wicks fast drying cement, which has been used on most places. Oh, there's the spirit level. That needs to go back in its right place because I'm not using that at the moment. So back into the workshop area, hang it up where it was before. Yes, very pleased with that. All ready for starting to put things back in the right place. There's a lot more things to go in there, but a lot of them are being used. Or there's just not time to do that tidying up. So, yeah, a few snaps around the garden. Yeah, there's the spaghetti. Right. Yeah, still 11 degrees centigrade. 7 o'clock in the evening. June's watching tennis in the kitchen. June's rustled up food. So I take mine through into the naughty corner in the lounge where I can relax, eat that. And yes, looking at the bridge reminds me, put the peanuts out. And also unpack the new box of 2 lots of peanuts and put the packaging in the right bin. So that's tidied up, and bring those into the lounge for the games room for the moment. So top up the peanuts on the bridge at the back, and the peanut feeder and the bird feeder near the flatulent fairy, and then put them where they're kept for the moment in the games room. Yes, very untidy. Oh yes, COVID page, update that. Print out the graph of total deaths due to any causes, and that's why they're very useful. Listen to the Radio 4 news. 9:10 in the evening. June's watching tennis. I decided to have another early night. So that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 3rd of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot that day. Yeah, they're mostly a load of boring record of work on the pond. Still trying to sort the leak. But without any luck, no, water's still coming through next door. But yeah, I thought I'd drop some milk in. And you never know, that might show up spots where the water's seeping away. Coming up to midday, I said no, I wouldn't join them at the pub because I still had a croaky voice, as I still have now, from a cold and cough that had lasted several days. But I might join them for coffee. So I got on with the pond work. Yeah, hard exercise, and it's improving it, even if it's not fixing it. And then June took me for a run out to Wicks at Knapp Hill. Picked up yet more cement, fast setting cement. And then yeah, there's a photo trail of the journey there and back through Chobham and Sunninghill and the Free One Barbers, which is where I went the next day, today when I'm recording this. And back to the pond work. Yes, so that brick is it's mostly there to provide support. Oh yes, looked at the track, anybody could see, oh, Robin was in Wicks, and then yeah, managed to get back home just here. Right, back end of the day, June's wrestled up whatever that is, sea bass possibly. I take that into the naughty corner, and that reminds me, looking at the closed circuit TV, that peanuts need putting out. Anyhow, that's the end of the summary. So now the photos in the order shot, mostly keeping a nitty-gritty record of things. So nice, warm, 15 degrees centigrade. All a matter of grabbing the chances are filling up the pond. I'd seen that it only dropped, I think it was 4 inches altogether overnight. Normally drops an inch or two in the first hour or two. Yes, Sun was out, so quick look at the sundial and a few snaps around the garden. So at some stage later, not even this year necessarily, I might readjust the position of the numbers. Right, looking out there, that was soon after it was full, I think. There was no water coming through, but then it takes a while to work its way through. So 11 o'clock in the morning, yeah, checking again. I remember starting the work in plenty of time so that I would see the results before pub grub time came up. Right, I just turned the tap off, so the pond must be full now, overflowing. Yes, there's no water going in. So looking around, yeah, 11 o'clock, there's the sundial, which is basically Greenwich Mean Time, and of course we're in summertime, so the sundial has 2 sets of numbers. And I'm still looking around for any obvious places where water would be coming out. Oh, dandelions, and one of them was already coming into seed, so you could blow the seeds. Lovely. Yes, I've often said, why can't you buy dandelions at the plant centres? Ah, he said, milk, don't tell June, but I've just pinched the milk, poured some in around the pond, all the way around the edge, on the off chance that it will gather where it's going out. I can say now that no, it just made the whole pond milky, and I didn't see any gathering anywhere. Put it back. Yes, what next, he says. 11:15. And yeah, right, coming up to midday. Yes, some work going on next door, so I couldn't actually see, but I saw enough to say the water is getting out. That dustbin had been moved. So we still have the problem there. Yes, there's Snoopy's robot boat in the front garden. And the cat forts. And where all the... Look at how much cement has been bought. I mean, there's a load more than that have already been thrown. Those are the empty containers. And making my way round the back again. Yeah, see, all milky appearance because of that adding the milk, but doesn't seem to have gathered in any particular spot. Beginning to drop, of course, whatever that distance is. 1/4 of an inch maybe. And yeah, looking for any signs of water appearing. Can't tell yet. So go back into my naughty corner. I can relax, coming up to midday, and the lads usually rendezvous. And yes, there's Stuart's car. So I go out to see him. There he is on Close Circuit TV. So well, I still had a croaky voice, and so rather than be trapped in the car with me and in the pub, best if I duck out of the pub grub, even though I could join them for coffee. There was a miscommunication there, I think. That has some WhatsApp pictures coming through from family, and I was just relaxing. Fingers crossed it might have improved things rather than do nothing. June's relaxing in the lovely warm sunshine. Ah, the fishmonger from Grimsby. No time spent there, he handed it over. And of course Samantha is actually doing Robin some scrambled egg on toast. There's the Ascot magazine, but not the church magazine. And I was looking through that, And yes, I can say now, it's only today, the next day, I found out that June had been popping the church magazines in a different spot in the kitchen to where I normally expected to see them, so we are getting them. And right, so pond's still dropping, not much different to the amount, which I think is about an inch an hour for the first hour or two. They're having a snack out there in the sunshine. I'm looking around for where should I do work next. Obviously you're looking for what has been found in the past, but places where water's coming out. And that's, iffy. In other words, it wasn't wet and it wasn't dry around the side there. Listening to the Radio 4 news. Oh, there's Toady. Yeah, so what is he up to, I wonder? Open the door, do you want to come in, Toady? No, he says I'll prowl around out the front. Yes, I think I could see. That was later when the lads were having coffee up there. I hadn't heard from them, and I thought, no, I won't disturb them by knocking on the door or ringing. Right, and Samantha did actually bring those bricks round. Right, keeping an eye on the pond. Right, 3:05 in the afternoon. Yeah, so I decided I'd do a bit more work in that spot there, just to make sure, because when I looked at it, it did look as though there might be a route for cement coming out. You can't be sure. And so I was then looking for means of trapping the cement from rolling down into the water. And so that's basically what their mixture of putting cement in, watering it in. Obviously this is sort of just above the water level, and then that brick helps to give support if it's exactly at the right height. Yeah, that seems to be the solution. But I noticed I was practically on my last tub of cement there, so put the containers back where they belong, ready to be thrown in the dustbin, the grey bin. And yeah, looking up, looks like coming up to 4 o'clock. What I didn't know until I spoke to him later on the phone was that Terry had left early because he had a problem with his car window, and but then not to worry. So I thought the coffee had all finished, because I thought I'd just be prepared if they were going to make an appearance. So a trip down to Knapp Hill, and June thought the quickest way when she looked on Google Maps was probably through Chobham. And so a few snaps on the route, down through the village, past the Jade, or what was the Jade Fountain, down through the Rise, through Sunninghill, and yes, out of Sunninghill, across Chobham Common, yes, all the broom coming out, into Chobham, a few snaps there. There's the Chobham Club, work's going on there to improve it. Quite difficult to take photographs quickly, not with this little old camera I'm using. And it'll get to Wicks, and yeah, got the cement, fast acting. That should keep me going for a while. Back on our way back through Chobham again, and pubs are the most important landmarks perhaps. I've certainly been there for a while. And over that stream, and right, coming up to go over the motorway, and approaching Sunninghill past the Monument car park, over the railway bridge into Sunninghill,
yeah, a bit blurred that was on the last stretch. I think I'd come via Sunninghill. The gates were shut. Past Chapman's, 3-1 Barbershop, Flame Kebab, Comrades Club, out of the 30 mile, no, less than 30 mile, that was 20 I think. Unload the cement tubs, 5:15 in the evening. Yes, it might have dropped a little bit more. So then looking around, well, we can usefully use some there, so disassemble those bits of wood and things. They just sit on top there, and made sure there was plenty of cement where needed to support that brick. 5:30, yes, hot work, isn't it? Yeah, so a couple of inches low by the look of it now. Turn the tap on to test it, because the cement was a good bit higher. It takes an hour to come up, and it should be set well before that. Yeah, 2 inches I thought. So I'm making a guess. Yeah, on the oak clock. That's it, rising at the rate of 15 inches or so an hour. Oh, he looked at the tracker. Yeah, anybody could see where Robin was, including getting back home. Just here. 10 to 6 in the evening. Yeah, pop outside. June's putting the washing up. Yeah, she should be getting Samantha to help do stuff like that. Samantha's got to learn how to do things. Right, it looks very close to being full, within 1/4 inch. So by about 6 o'clock, which is about when I thought, yes, there it is, just starting to trickle over the overflow. So that guess was pretty well on. So turn the tap off. Yeah, no water coming into the pond now. 6 o'clock. Come back in and listen to the Radio 4 news. And right, coming up to 6:30 now. Checking out again. Yes, it's dropped. Yeah, whatever that is, 1/4 inch in half an hour. Yeah, it looks a bit damp around there. That's our side of the fence. Yes, and sure enough, the dustbin's been moved, and you can see the water's definitely still coming through. Looking at it, it looked a bit further along than before, so that might be a step in the right direction. Difficult to say. Right, June's rustled up dinner for the evening, the fish. I take that into the naughty corner. I can relax in a comfortable seat. Oh yes, and the closed circuit TV reminds me, I'll put out the peanuts and put them back where they're kept. June's watching tennis. 5 to 9. I'll have another early night. So time for bed. That's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 4th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot that day. Yes, with that horrible little camera, I haven't got a better solution at the moment. Yes, it was the day to get my hair cut. More of that soon. Work on the pond, of course. And yes, so walk down to the village and into the 3-1 Barbers. Enjoyable, relaxing wait there. That was before and that was after. Into the blend and brew. Yeah, just a Coca-Cola and a cake. Back home. And yeah, check the tracker. Anybody could see where Robin was. I may not guess where he was exactly, because I notice 3-1 Barbers are not on the Google mapping. But then again, they probably don't need to be. Right, back home here. And yeah, that's June and Samantha off at tennis, and oh yes, progress there. After I'd basically bought that domain, that was on the what was the TSA hosting. The day June's rustled up kebabs, I put the peanuts out, and she's watching tennis. Yes, quite early. I have an early night, and so that's the end of the summary. Now the photos in the order shot. Yes, started with my hair before the haircut, and yeah, look out in the garden. 1:15 in the afternoon now. Yeah, other work had been done, if you call it work. Some of it was online, and yeah, looking at, yes, it's still dropping. So overnight it had dropped 3 inches or more. So siphoning the water out, ready to decide what work to do on the pond. 1:20. Yeah, according to that, it should be out in 15 or 20 minutes. Well, he's dropped down to a puddle at the bottom. Right, so walk down to the village, get my hair cut. So I'm off out, and yes, there's Snoopy's robot boat still on static test outside. Oh, that bit of gold garden sculpture's been knocked over. So better put that the right way up. Down into the village, into Pre-Wound Barbers. That was before, and that was after. And then into the Blend and Brew cafe. And then I decided I needed to get some cash. So walked down over the railway to the one stop, got a bit of cash out of the machine. Oh yes, a reminder of that event coming up on the 5th of May. Brief stay at the Comrades Club, no more than a few minutes. Then back home into Armitage Court, and number 22, and the robot boat. Hello, Snoopy. And I noticed those tubs still hadn't been moved round from out the car from the day before. Oh yeah, hard work it is, walking down to the village and back. And yeah, check the tracker. Yes, that's where I had been, in the Pre-Wound Barbers on the corner. And then down, of course you get a bit of scatter with position. And then got back home, just here. You notice I've still got a bit of a croaky voice, but the cold is pretty well gone. Ah, he says, that was where the women are. And of course there they were on the closed circuit TV going off for tennis, with the hood down. So that confirmed. But Samantha hadn't moved those tubs that had been in the boot of the car back, round the back, that is. 4:15. Yeah, I think they had a tennis. I get mixed up with it. I think they might have had it both morning and afternoon, and I don't know. Alright, so probably using the bilge pump there. Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's the bilge pump. Pumping another, perhaps an inch out, and the water flows down the path into the second pond. Yeah, there's the bilge pump doing its work. There's the second pond, and looking up the garden. Oh yes, good bit of progress there that day. I bought that domain, gpss123.co.uk, and one of the lads out in Romania had got it working, still testing to be done, and maybe some changes. Right, coming up to 6 o'clock in the evening, listen to the Radio 4 News. Yes, still quite a puddle there. That's as much as the siphoning the bilge pump could do. So then I got in the hard way and took some out, and then soaked up a lot more by that old sheet. Reminds one could do with another one of those. Yes, hard work, isn't it? So, that was the magazine, and I'd been thinking, because they were not in where I'd normally put them, and the fact we had been receiving those church magazines, but June had filed them somewhere different in the kitchen. Anyhow, she'd rustled up food. I took it into Robin's naughty corner in the lounge, kebabs by the look of it. And yes, the closed circuit TV reminded me, needed to put the peanuts out. So, both at the back, on the top bridge, and at the front, and topped up the peanut feeder that I think it's mostly the foxes are getting through them at a tremendous rate. And yeah, put the container of peanuts back where it's normally kept for the moment. Yeah, check that test rig, checking the servo to death, still running. Just need to swap the battery over with a charged one. Yeah, it's not that late, but I have an early night, so time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 5th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot that day. Yeah, nothing more photogenic than the Cords Hall, I'm afraid, as we come into Sunninghill. Sunninghill, beg your pardon. And I noticed that at the beginning, something had knocked over the flatulent gnome, and it was two hedgehogs competing for the peanuts. And there you go, it got knocked over then, because exactly when it was, but most importantly, what did it? Yes, so, yes, work on the pond, of course, overseen by Toadie, mostly putting cement and also clay into suspect spots that I hadn't noticed before, and June wasn't impressed when I came into the kitchen to show her my filthy hands and clean them, of course. Yeah, look, I've just put the tap on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Lovely warm temperature, 18 degrees centigrade, and that's the trip we're planning to do out to Staines to pick up some, a hide for fishes. And I checked out the range, home base, very good, but most of the stuff was bought from Wicks. So back home, and of course the pond's coming along. I'll check the tracker. Yes, anybody could see where I was, even if Wicks, and that was also near the old home base and taken over by range back here. So pond within 1/4 inch of being full. So, or was that dropped? I don't know. Fingers crossed it's going to be better. You've got to give it a time for the water to seep around. Now that has dropped 1/4 inch, and look, not good. Still coming through on Dawn and Kevin's side. Again, I noticed didn't seem to be coming through this way, but then they may have moved a slab or something. The main thing is we've still got the problem there. And every time we find something else. Oh yeah, back end of the day, WhatsApp video chat with family. Right, peanuts out at the back on the top bridge. June's watching tennis. I have an early night again. I've been working hard that day. So that's the end of the summary. So now all the photos, the first ones were, notice that flatulent gnome had been knocked over. That's where it belongs. And yeah, that camera will have picked up. Yes, there's he on the camera. Yes, there was a fox there earlier, but he didn't knock anything over. Then the first hedgehog came. He didn't knock anything over. And then a second hedgehog came along and said, "Out the way, I want some peanuts." And there was a bit of a tussle, and the second hedgehog pushed the other one out of the way, and that's when the flatulent gnome was knocked over. See? All shows up on the closed circuit TV. And the fox turned up a bit later, and he said, Nah, I won't hang around. There were still 2 hedgehogs around, so nah, some other time, eh? Yeah, I'm obviously relaxing there. What is it? Just gone 11:30 in the morning, and yes, I've drained the pond as dry as possible, but there's still some there. And June very kindly pointed out some other sheets. But before that, I used the sheet that I'd used before, that was dry by then, but still there was dampness at the bottom. And of course, sometimes when you make it completely dry, you can see where water is seeping back into the pond, which is a leak, of course. Oh, that cable, that's the pond pump. Yes, I was a bit annoyed with myself there, but that really is on our shopping list with probably another extension cable, an outdoor one ideally, because the answer was I just simply snipped the whole one off because I'd concreted over. That's what I was annoyed about, looking around on what's around. And of course June said, oh well, I reckon Wicks was as good a place as any, and she pointed out we got some other spare old dry sheets that we use when there's dirty work like plastering going on. And yeah, so just the job for what I need. More tools for the job. So now I have, oh, whatever it is, probably 5 of those as opposed to just 1. And that's the, well, probably another one drying up now. And so I'm using those. So I basically put them in the bottom of the pond, walk around on it to make sure the water soaks into the sheet. And that way I pretty well dry the bottom of the pond. That looks like another one. Yeah, do the same with that. Yes, well done, Jude. Thank you. And for the moment, her washing line's not being used, so that's a good place for the sheets. So 5 to 1 in the afternoon. Yeah, check the sundial. 5 to 1 British summertime, of course, is 5 to 12 midday. And that looks about right. As I've said lots of times before, do the checks through the year and then maybe adjust the position of the numbers. Yeah, very hot, so I took my blue woolly jacket off. Yes, or red brew refreshment. Looks like Samantha's busy doing something. Too busy to do anything useful, I think. Right, so I'm basically sitting, relaxing and thinking what comes next. Yes, that sheet had dried, so dry it out, put it up on the washing line. So there's probably 4 sheets out there drying, and very little water left now. Ah, that cable. Yes, got to use the right tool for the job. So there's a snip the cable where it comes out of the concrete, because I'd concreted all over that cable looking for the leaks. Not very good job. Put things back where they were so anybody can find them, not least oneself. Yeah, relax again and think. Ah yes, oh yes, another sheet that June found. Yeah, use that as well, so that adds to the collection. So I think I was right when I said we've got 5 of those. Yeah, and there's some puddles there still. And in fact, I'm recording this the following day, the Sunday, and I did find water seeping back. Right, so that is still fun. Right, combination of cement and watering in, because it's fast acting cement, where I'd found those. Of course, it needs to be given a bit of time to dry because it's low in the pond. When it's higher, since the pond takes typically 3 hours to fill, it doesn't matter if one starts filling earlier. Right, so putting things back, remember to put things back where they belong. So the junk, like those plastic buckets, and oh yeah, there's a drain that needs doing sometime or other. yeah, she was pointing that, yeah, I could hang that, since the washing line was full now, hang that wet sheet over somewhere else. So I'm still looking around for places where water might be getting out of the pond and making its way, typically under the slabs of the patio, through to next door. There's Toadie decided to come out and inspect my work, including the pump. I'm not sure he's going to take up electrician work, but we'll get our daughter Michelle to teach him that. Meanwhile, I got on with a bit of cementing. I think I'd already stuffed the... that's what I first did. That hole goes right down deep there. So, messy job. But that's why I used that modelling clay to stuff that in as far as I could. Yeah, June wasn't impressed. But I thought better wash my hands afterwards, because I was getting, had happened before, getting the clay on everything, including the camera. So, yes. So then I can follow up with cement. And of course, that's a relatively less messy job. So, that's the materials. Ooh, he says, time for a rest and a glass of water for a change. Yeah, a few snaps around. Yeah, pond's pretty well dry, and just looking around, yeah, that's dry. That's where our side of the fence, where water does appear when it's leaking, there as well. So it's also a sign. So it's not just the water dropping. You see it wet there, and of course right. I've just turned the tap on, so it looks as though I'm confident that that cement. Right, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, tap's been turned on, and normally that's about 3 hours, which would make it about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but in fact I've noticed it's less than that now. So the tap's running, filling the pond. Right, now where to go? Yeah, I think check out the combined range and home base, and because I got the impression from the earlier visit it was that is now as good as any of the range or home bases have been, and I suppose that makes sense in Staines, business sense as they might say. So we thought we'd go there, and we knew what we had on our shopping list, which was an extension cable similar to what we've already got that can stand splashes at least and dust for its position in the garden, and ideally it'd be completely waterproof, but I don't think those products are easily available. So now is our photo trail going through the village of Sunninghill, past the Jade Fountain as it was, past the Cords Hall on the right, now past the A30, along the A30 past the wheat sheaf, past, yes, I wasn't quick enough with that photograph, that's Holloway College, and yeah, wasn't quick enough with those photographs. That was, yes, what do you do, that's the camera. From when you press the button, it has to think before it takes a photo, in the same way it has to think for at least half a minute when you switch it on. Right, we got to Wicks, and this is Wicks at Staines. Yes, and especially with the help of a chap who I asked, he pointed me to the right place. In fact, two guys for different things. So came away with I was looking for perspex, but I think it's called transparent acrylic, and also went back into the range on the off chance I could see things like extension cables, but ended up getting those at Wicks. I was looking for waterproof extension cables, well, splash proof. Past Holloway College, that was a better picture. Yeah, I got to the junction near Wheat Sheaf, now on the road past the ruins into Berkshire. Yes, past the, I think that was the polo field, polo club, and yes, past where June used to live, and past lots of places where, oh yes, Crossways, that's where her family lived before she was born. And into Sunninghill, yes, there's the Court Hall, and the theatre, and Rajvuj, up the high street, over the bridge. Oh, look at that, looked like a de Chevaux to me. And yes, past the Comrades Club, out of the speed limit, or into another speed limit. Right, unload stuff from the car. That's the perspex sheets. They need to go somewhere. Right, coming up to 5:15. Pond's still filling. Let's see how it's doing. Oh, that looks like, what is that, 1/4 inch? Yeah, no, more than that. Looks like an inch or two. So he says, at 20 minutes an inch, that would be about 22, that it would be full. Looking at the tracker, yes, anybody can see where I went, and getting back home. Just here. That perspex needs to be put in a sensible place for the moment. Be a little while before put that together. Easy job, but work on the pond takes priority. Pond is still filling. Yeah, within 1/4 inch now. Yeah, so that won't take long at all. And just taking snaps around. Yeah, there you go. It's overflowing. So turn the tap off. Yeah, there it is, overflowing. And yeah, tap's off now. So look around for any obvious places that are a bit suspect at that level, but of course where the problems you can be expected is in that inch or two below the high water mark, because it's certainly dropping too quickly for evaporation. It's I think that's whatever it is. Yes, at that time it was only just been topped up and it was still dry around the side, on our side of the fence. But don't forget, whatever obscure route the water's taken to get out of the pond, it takes time to get there. So fingers crossed, at that stage I didn't know whether we'd fixed it or improved it. And of course the real test, listen to the Radio 4 News, I had time for that. And then 6:20, and look at the water level. Yes, it looks as though it's dropped a little bit. Oh yes, you can see there, dropped, yeah, at least 1/4 inch, and looks as though it's damp on our side. Yeah, so probably need longer to show up significantly around there, but no, sure enough, yeah, problem still there, water coming in under Kevin and Dawn's side. So back to work, or work is thinking what to do next. So yeah, a few snaps around the pond, because sometimes the photos can be useful. June's rustled up food, so it's obviously a lot later in the evening, Saturday evening. And so I have mine, the naughty corner, and then of course we have the video WhatsApp chat with family. So there we go, got 3 smartphones on the go. And right, 8:20 in the evening, look outside using the torch. Yes, the pond's still dropping. It looks about an inch to me. And it's behaving exactly as one would expect when there's a problem still there. Put the peanuts out, including the feeder. Yeah, quite a lot is going in from that feeder every night. And that is mostly the foxes, I think, but as you could see earlier, other things come, like hedgehogs. Right, put the peanuts back where I'm keeping them for the moment, which is in the games room. Very untidy. June's watching tennis. Yeah, 10 to 9. Put the tracker on charge. Time for bed, I'll have an early night. That's the answer. So that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 6th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot that day. And yeah, coming into flower. The tulip, did I say tulip? No, is that cherry tree? Oh, spaghetti tree. Oh, it's easy to forget. Anyhow, mainly keeping a record, nitty gritty, of my hard work on the pond. Mostly down to identifying where water is leaking out. And there were other little jobs. I thought I'd do a better job of those planks at this end of the pond, by sawing up some of that timber that we had, and of course interrupted occasionally by pussycats like Toadie showing off wearing his cat fort is under there. And I could see, yeah, water's already coming out there, and that was obviously later when I had a chance to fill up, and sure enough the water's still coming out under the fence next door. Very inconvenient for them, but he says, that was good. Yes, the fourth hosting on the 123 site, that's up and running after the good guys in Romania sorted it. And Samantha helped June put the dustbins out, being a Sunday. Yeah, and I noticed, I better put the peanuts out and yeah, top up the feeder out the front porch. June's watching tennis, I'm relaxing. 10 to 9, let's have an early night. So that's the end of the summary. So now the photos and the order shot, and of course mostly about me keeping a record. Oh yes, and in case things like that has just come into flower in the last day. Yeah, temperature nicely coming up to 13 degrees centigrade. Yeah, relaxing for a little while, and yeah, thinking it's a question of what next all the time. Yes, now I thought those sawn off bits of plank, they'd done the job, but I could do a better job with new bits similar in length to the others. I say the others, the one at this end. But of course, yeah, water's dropped probably about 3 inches overnight, and so yeah, siphoning the water out so I can get in and do work on where their suspect places need cementing. 20 to 12, and yeah, normally only takes about 15 minutes to siphon the water out. And yeah, 10 to 12 midday, bilge pump is the next thing to put in, so that brings it down another half an inch or an inch. That's doing its job. And yeah, so water is fairly easy to get in now and work on wherever I've got to work on. But of course that depends where you can see suspect places. So I'm looking around for those. Yeah, so there's one, not far from that depth marker, and you can see the water trickling out around, obviously on the outside of the inner concrete layer. So put those things up out of the way now. The bilge pump's done with, out with the materials for the job. Yeah, looking for a stone that had fallen down last time, so that can be popped into a little gap there to help with some little pebbles to provide a suitable basis for then putting in the cement. Yes, hot work it is. So that's what I was doing then. Right, 20 to 1, and temperatures come up nicely. That looked like about 14 degrees centigrade. Quite important for things like fast settling cement to go off. Oh, look, 16 degrees centigrade there. Yeah, it looks like I've just turned the tap on. And of course, it's all a question of where the concreting's been done. And it wasn't at the very bottom, so I could afford to put the tap on a little earlier. So that's where the cementing is. Looks as though I could always say sprinkle a little bit more there. So the pond's filling up, and that typically takes, well, I used to say 3 hours, but it's probably nearer 2 3/4 hours now. Yeah, so while that's happening, I can be looking at doing a better job. You see those old bits of plank that I'd sawn off above there, it's probably better to, I've got enough material around the side of the house, get the tape measure out, the right tool for the job, and yeah, saw off 3 planks but that bit longer, and yeah, put things back in the right place. But at that stage I'm getting out the surf form to take the edges off, and then creosote. Yes, bit of creosote in there, and yes, the old bits of plank can go in the firewood box near the chimney. Yeah, hard work, but job well done, I think. And yeah, a bit blurred. So 22:03. Have a bit of relax, a glass of water, listen to the Radio 4 news. Yeah, Samantha's out with June, relaxing. And 3:10 in the afternoon. Yeah, so it's still got another, what was that, at least 4 inches, if not more. Do some rough sums. If it's 4 inches, I think it's about 4 times 20, which is an hour and 20 minutes to fill up and overflow. Oh yes, June found a plug, but I thought that'd do the job. This is a little background job of testing the old pond pump we'd had sat there unused for some time, and anyhow it works. So there's a practical problem of the plumbing which needs a trip out, but yeah, and it fits nicely into the box, and I've got a sample there of the piping that's used at each end to go into the fountain, and we would have popped out that day, but it was a bit late in the day, places would be closed. So it's coming up, it's only about an inch to go. Yes, and that would be about 22. And still nice and sunny and warm out. A few snaps around the garden, and I think I spy Toadie relaxing under the catfort number 2, I think it was called, halfway down the garden. Not quite sure why he's there, probably on the lookout for some unfortunate mouse, but mostly sunbathing. Yes, pleasant, isn't it? And yeah, a few snaps. Oh yes, that's the wild fennel, finocchi, from Sicily. Yes, that was brought across in more recent years and grown from seeds, genuinely. And yeah, the water, it looks as though the water might be overflowing there, as it should be. Well, yes, that means I think you can turn the tap off. Yeah, the water level is 0 in terms of at the overflow point. And that little depth marker just pokes just the white Tipex bit, just points above the surface there. So looking around at the side of the pond, yes, water already seeping out, so you can see that the problem almost certainly hasn't been fixed. There's no harm in it coming out there, but it's a symptom. 5:10 in the afternoon. It normally takes time to That looked as though it's dropped 1/4 of an inch now. It takes time, yeah, 1/4 of an inch. So sure enough, by then, probably after half an hour or more, water can be seen coming under the fence on Kevin and Dawn's side. Yeah, there's the robot boat, still on static test. No chance to spend any time on that. So back into the nice sunny back garden. Had a bit of a doze, not for very long. And what's the time? Just gone 5:30. Go outside, see what the water's done. Yes, it dropped. That looks as though it might have dropped an inch. Yeah, that matches up. Yeah, about an inch. So it's dropping about the same as it has done now for some time. So we haven't found the main source of the leak. Yeah, have another doze. Not for very long, he says. Bright idea. Yeah, I checked. Yeah, well done. That was on the ticket that was raised for the problems with the fourth hosting of the website. And yeah, so it's all now working. So we had problems most of the year. Yeah, including family page, I had to update that. Yeah, June's rustled up food. Looks like salmon and pasta. Take it into Robin's naughty corner. Oh yes, and on the closed circuit TV I can see Samantha is helping June put out the bins. Because that has to be done on a Sunday, because they come on a Monday, which is when I'm recording this. And of course it reminds me, put out the peanuts. So on the top bridge and also at the front, bird feeder and also the peanut feeder, which drops quite a bit every day. And look, I think it's mostly foxes taking it, but other wildlife do. We've seen hedgehogs coming as well. Right, looks like that's, yeah, just recharged the battery for the little rig, testing a servo to test in the games room. Yes, very untidy. It's on the list of things to do. Yeah, June's enjoying herself with whatever that is. Multitasking, I think, call it. Video games and watching tennis. 10 to 9, put the tracker on charge, have an early night, and so that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 7th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yes, that's Toadie watching me at work on the pond. Same old pattern of work, I'm afraid. Looking for where the leaks might be and using those materials. Hard work, of course. And in fact, there were 3 trips out that day. First was Maidenhead Aquatics, and I needed hose because I was thinking of the next job, plumbing the pump in. Yes, the tracker shows where I went, even if it didn't show what I was buying. And yeah, back home. And yes, and of course at various points I'm checking and water's still coming through next door under the fence. And then another trip was to the bank, or what serves as a bank, and yeah, that went well. So came back, a few landmarks on the way into Sunninghill, past the Courts Hall, and back home. And there's Toadie on guard duty on the front doormat. Yeah, nice warm relaxing weather for work. And yes, that's the approach of, and I needed the right sort of material for it. So the next trip was to wicks and bricks. No, that was other material. That was for, that hose needed to be held down by bricks, at least a temporary solution for it. Yeah, back end of the day, June's rustled up food. Yes, memories of a fish called Wanda. And there's Toadie on the closed circuit TV prowling around. He was on the roof, now he's on the porch. That reminded me, yeah, put the peanuts out. Also at the back and at the front, including the feeder. Oh yes, had a look at visits. Yeah, there's a young fox coming for peanuts at the front. And earlier we'd seen two hedgehogs fighting over the peanuts. Yeah, so that came out quite well. Yeah, 5 to 9, 9:05, have an early night. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order shot. 22:11 in the morning, or 20, whatever it was. And usual pattern, the pond has been drained right down. And so it's the usual thing of looking for where water might be leaking. And yeah, it's a couple of inches. That's probably what happened overnight. It dropped 2 inches, and so now I'm siphoning out as much of the water as I can, and that normally takes not much more than 15 minutes, but you've still got a puddle at the bottom. And of course then you're starting to see water seeping back into the inner layer of concrete. Yes, he says, but yes, yeah, lots of spots that look suspect. Oh, and there's Bentley prowling around watching what I was doing. Hello, Bentley. Yeah, so that's the name of the game, which is looking for where water's seeping back. And you notice it when you empty the pond, then there's still a head of water there on the, whatever you call it, the outer layers. Yeah, so I'm now using the bilge pump to pump a little bit more water out, and that's working well. Even if you don't get much out, it makes the job easier. So yeah, looking around all the time for where water might be making its way out of the pond. And oh yes, I'm looking for something to weigh down the hose for the pond pump, and I did find a large slab there, and I thought perhaps I could break that. Now, in fact, later in the day I went and bought some more suitable materials. Yeah, so get the sledgehammer, or one of the sledgehammers, put it back in the right spot in the workshop area there. So we now got a broken slab, and that might have been the best I could find for the job I had in mind, but lots of reasons for using material like that. So yeah, so I'm now looking, yeah, is that really a suitable material for the job? Not really the right shape, might help. Yeah, I think I broke it again. Yeah, fingers crossed, he says. I bashed it on the side of a rock to break it up even smaller, and basically those slabs help retain some of the cement and chippings. So I'm now looking at that pond pump and how that's going to be fitted. So sort of looking ahead at the next job, obviously the priority is to fix the leaks in the pond, but of course after that we'll be tidying up other things like the fountain and of course the plants. Yeah, June's relaxing in the sunshine. It looks like I'm going to have a bit of a relax as well. Glass of water, not just the Red Bull. 12:20 in the afternoon. Looks as though it's pretty low now, and just turned the tap on, I think that is. Yes, because I probably had the concrete that I'd used long enough there, and yeah, so that's the pond filling. And of course with all these things, the pond's now taken I think about 2 3/4 hours to fill. May even be quicker as we remove leaks. That was the black and white cat creeping around. Oh yeah, sundial. Take a look at that. Well, the sun's in the right direction. Don't forget, sundials work in Greenwich Mean Time. So we've got two lots of numbers around there. And right, that's going round the side of the pond near the fence, and at that stage it was dry, which was promising. But of course it takes time for the water to seep through. But of course if one's gradually making progress, everything will go slower in terms of water dropping. Right, 15 degrees centigrade, lovely and warm. Lovely and warm for enjoying the sunshine and for cement setting. Yeah, so now that looks about 4 inches. June's relaxing, enjoying the sunshine. 2:30 in the afternoon. And yeah, there's fill in the pond. Yeah, a couple of inches now perhaps. Right, that's the guide for the material. I'm looking for something which will match with that. So we're off out round to Maidenhead Aquatics, just round the corner off the A30, and yeah, quickly found a offcut, in fact it was, that matched it nicely, pushed around the outside of that size of tube, so that came away with the length of that. Passed a few landmarks including King's Beaches. Yeah, we got road works going on at the moment there, or whatever it is, the work, gas or something being laid. Right, back home. Yes, I've got those materials, take them round and put them down on the table ready for use. Coming up to 3 o'clock, so looks like I've just turned the tap off, and it's not always obvious what things are. That's the second pond, and yeah, that's I can see water coming out there on our side of the fence, so that still shows you there's outstanding problems to be fixed. Yeah, so looking around for, yeah, give it a bit of thought is the answer, and if you're relaxing at the same time, so much the better. Oh yeah, check the tracker. Yeah, there was the trip down along the A30 into Maidenhead Aquatics. Wasn't on that Google mapping, but that's where it was, back home, just here. Oh yes, next trip was to the bank. I do things on paper, learnt by experience of where mistakes are made when computers move location and transactions are lost. That goes back a few years, but well worth it. Some things are much quicker to do online, but sometimes you say no, don't rely only on that. Yeah, so I've still got water coming through there onto Kevin and Dawn's side of the fence, so it looks like we're off again down through the village. A few landmarks on the way, and the school on the left, yeah, the theatre on the right, and coming out of Sunninghill along the 329, I think that is. Ah yes, he says, yes, into Index House, or adjacent to Index House, where Barclays have set up a little place, a local place. So that went well. On our way back now, past what was the old courthouse, and that was the Wells pub many years ago. Yeah, coming into Sunninghill, and yeah, there's the Courts Hall, there's the theatre, and the Rajvuj, and One Stop, and the Jade, or the Jade Fountain, Chapman's, 3-1 Barbershop, the Sunninghill Comrades Club, and yeah, a bit blurred that one. Back home, and yeah, I had a quick look. Yes, water's definitely coming under the fence. Yeah, problem's still there. And there's Toady guarding the premises on the front doormat. Hello, Toady. And what have we got next? Yeah, what do you do? He's probably hoping for an unfortunate mouse to appear, or a bird. Check the tracker. Yes, there was the visits to the so-called Barclays local, and it was just over the fence from the tennis courts. And there's the trip, including back home. Just here. 5 to 4 in the afternoon. June's enjoying the sunshine. There's always work to be done, you see. Yes, it's 1/4 of an inch, so that probably means it's dropped 1/4 of an inch, I don't know. Right, now that was the solution for joining the hose that was already there, going into the fountain and coming out of the pond pump, and it's just a question of how the hose is held down. And yeah, so not a too difficult job to do, and in fact I did do it the next day, which is today when I'm recording this. But checking things. It looks like I've turned the tap off there. Yeah, look at all the tools and materials there. Yeah, it looks as though the hose works. I said the hose works. 25 past 5, I think that is. And another trip out, and this time, yes, coming out of Sunningdale towards Chobham, over Chobham Common, into Surrey, past over the motorway. That was after going past the monument, into Chobham. Yes, a few landmarks like pubs and the Comrades Club. Good work going on there. That'll be much better, I'm sure, when it's finished. Into the centre of Chobham, and the church. Yes, everything's coming into blossom now. And to Wicks at Knapp Hill, and that's what I picked up. I thought those black bricks are probably just the job for using as weights on the hose at the bottom of the pond, and won't always come up with some other solution, but black tends to disappear underwater. So on our way back home now, and across Chobham Common again into Sunningdale. Came out a bit blurred, that picture. And right, centre of Sunningdale, and over the railway line, level crossing that was, and on the road that runs past Charters School into Armitage Court, and number 22, and the robot boat. Hello, Snoopy Sloop. And round to the back. Yes, unload those bricks and start saying, right, they're a little bit less unsightly than the yellow ones. And so that's a solution. Got to be done properly, of course. Yeah, so it looks like how far the pond's dropped. Yeah, about, inch and a half. Yeah, still signs of water coming through. Might be less than before, very difficult to say. Yeah, so for the moment I put those bricks there and check the tracker. Yeah, Wicks at Woking, or Knapp Hill, and past the railway. I remember that model railway. It's quite a large one. Yeah, back home here. So whatever that is, 7:35 in the evening. Yeah, still keeping an eye on the water level. Yes, it's dropping. I think it's not dropping as fast as it has been for months. Right, June's rustled up food, so I go into the kitchen, take that food into the naughty corner. Oh yes, memories of a fish called Wanda. And on the closed circuit TV I could see live Toady prowling around up to mischief, I expect. I'm not sure what he was chewing there, something or other. Yeah, and it prompted me to check other visits, so that's live. Yes, thinking of coming in. And yes, I let him in, he'd come in for some food. And yeah, reminded me to put the peanuts out. So they've got peanuts now. The back bridge, and at the front the bird feeder, and also topped up the peanut feeder. Yes, and put the peanuts back where they're kept for the moment, which is in the games room. Oh yes, yeah, swap the battery for a charged one on the test rig, testing a servo to death. Running for months so far. Yeah, so I'm very untidy in there. Well, gonna have to wait for that. That's looking at things on the closed circuit TV, including Toady prowling around on the bridge now. Yes, he's probably thinking some unfortunate mouse will come for the peanuts when he's there. Oh, then I looked at previous visits the night before. There's a young fox coming for peanuts, of course. Hello, you looking at me? And there's a hedgehog. And yes, clear as you like. And there is, at the same time, I think that was a fox at the front and a fox at the back, both after peanuts. Yeah. And of course that was earlier. Yeah, there's the hedgehog prowling around and triggering the PIR light and going past the ring camera. So I wonder whether it appears on the ring camera. Well, yes, yeah, it showed it. Doesn't come out very well on those photographs, but works. There's the ring camera. Coming up to 9 o'clock in the evening. Oh, Samantha's just come back from tennis. And yes, put the tracker on charge. Yeah, have an early night. So time for bed. And that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 8th of April 2025. Starting with the summary of the photo shot. Yes, that's the black and white cat looking in, as he often does from behind us. They tend to avoid confrontation generally. Yeah, so most of it is work on the pond, but the important thing was June's visit to see the specialist, Joe, and fantastic. It was basically that was simply asthma, and yes, she's on an action plan for that. And of course, I'm working on finding the likely spots to leak on the pond. Yeah, lovely warm weather, and mopping out the last of the water. Very hard work, of course. And yeah, several things are going on in parallel, including the pond pump. And yeah, got that working. And obviously pond leaks are more important, and there is water coming through then, but it seems better than it was. And I can say now, the day after, when I'm recording this, I did a better job on that same spot, or more thorough job, and the problem seems to have been fixed. But you can wait for tomorrow's photo trail. 9:30 in the evening. Have an early night. So that's the end of the summary. So now all the photos in the order shot, and of course the important thing was June's visit to Heatherwood Hospital, and to speak to the lady, quite famous she is actually if you Google her up, been in the business a long time, and they've got a centre dealing with chest problems. Yeah, temperature nice and healthy coming up, both to enjoy and also for cement to dry, fast setting cement. So usual thing, yeah, that's dropped about whatever it is, 2 inches, maybe 3 overnight. Oh, that's June. Lots of things coinciding. So June's on her way back by the look of it from the hospital visit. Yes, she says that was the diagnosis, and yeah, hopefully an easy problem to fix. Yes, there's that pussycat. That's when I saw him coming, checking out, looking in the window. And yeah, Toadie decided to come in and have something to eat as well. So that's 12 midday, British summertime, and back out there siphoning the water out of the pond. And yeah, that's the 1:15. Yeah, nice and warm, 14 degrees centigrade. Depth gauge, if you like to call it that. And yes, having a bit of a relax and thinking is the answer. What next, he says. So yeah, it's 25 to 1 in the middle of the day, and yes, that's going rather slowly. That's the siphon, and I found out today that case of not putting that tile over the end of it until it's lower. Anyhow, that's working fine now. So the fond would normally siphon out in 15 minutes, but there's always a big puddle at the bottom. So the next thing that is used is the bilge pump, and that did its job as expected, pumping water out to drop the pool of water at the end, in the middle of the pond, probably another ½ inch to 1 inch. And of course you're looking all the time and seeing places where water's seeping out from outer layers of concrete. So you can do some quick jobs of putting cement there, and it also helps to double check, because the cement can get washed away. Oh, there's the detailed diagnosis. You can't read it. And yeah, temperature coming up nicely, 16 degrees centigrade. It looks as though, yeah, the bilge pump's done as much work as it can. So take that out, put it on the table, and yeah, still looking at spots that look suspect, to say the least. Yeah, that's just showing where the empty buckets of cement go near the dustbins. Getting through a lot of that. I have done for a couple of months. Yeah, so I'm looking at these spots that are mostly in the area not that far from the fountain. Right, now we're at the last stage of getting water out, which is putting those old sheets on the ground and making sure the water soaks in by walking on them. Yeah, hard work that is. And then hanging them up to dry. Very useful tool for the job. And there's Toadie below the cat fort, which she quite likes to hang out at this time of the year. And there's a little tribute to Gingy, or Fartalot as Michelle christened him. And yeah, so pretty well got all the water out there. Yeah, hard work. Need to relax every now and again. And yes, I'm looking at these spots, as I say, not far from the fountain, where you can see water trickling out. So work on those. Generally a mixture of water and PVA glue, I suppose you call it, sealant, and of course the fast setting cement. And right, the pump. Now we know that pump works, but it needs plumbing. I think I've got the materials now, and I decided, yes, have a glass of water. And yeah, that is, I think June went on to Tesco afterwards with Samantha, I think. Right, so I cut that plastic container. It's a kind of a double filter to protect the pump. The trouble is, it's a messy job, those joints on the pipe, using that PVA, not, well, I know, what is it, silicon sealant, black silicon sealant, a bit messy. So put that back where it belongs in the workshop area. So now I've got a better solution for holding the pond pump, so it's less easy for mud to get to the small holes of the filter actually on the pump. And then Toadie decided to check out the work. So Toadie's prowling around. I think I saw another spot where water was trickling out. I think that's for that. I know, maybe looking at the routing of the power cable for the pump. Right, just turn the tap on, and yeah, so the tap's on now, and it takes, well, in the ballpark of 3 hours to fill, but I think that's less now, maybe 2 3/4 hours, because of course we've made some progress in stopping the water that's leaking out. So if you think about it, when it's within an inch or two of what it drops to, water's leaking out even though you're supplying water in, so that'll affect it. And as we fix those problems, so instead of taking 3 hours, it's nearer 2 3/4 hours. And that looks dry at the moment, but that was early on. Yeah, you see it's been low for some time there, so it's only just started to fill it. Now I'm wondering what to do about that pump, the mains plug. Well, that's a simple temporary solution, which is a plastic bag from June's little collection. And so that means if I didn't do anything on that for several days, including if we had rain, then there shouldn't be any problem. And June's watching tennis, and yeah, Alexander rang. I had a chat with him and actually passed him on to June for a minute or two. And yeah, so the pond is gradually filling now. There's their depth marker. Yeah, so it's still probably 4 inches to go. And that power cable, yeah, it's probably to check things. Yeah, so I plug the power in which goes to the pond pump, and then for the moment I'll plug that in the games room, and I think the result was good. I had water coming out. It's not, you don't see much of a spout there. That's probably because I've got that little bit of brass tubing which pushes in, and then by restricting it, it spouts up a bit higher, and that's a little bit more practical. So put the pliers that I use for that back where they belong in the games room for the moment. And yeah, I decided I had plenty of spare cable running for that socket that's round the back of the pond, so and it's protected. So all these little jobs can be done while other things are happening, like the pond's filling or whatever. Yeah, and there's the nice jet of water coming up, and so yeah, probably saying put things back where they belong. That was the extension lead, I think. And yes, yeah, within what, 2 inches or so of being full. Yeah, come up to 10 to 7. So roughly speaking, that'd probably be about 7:30. Looks like I've just turned the water off. and yeah, I've turned the tap off, so no water going into the pond now. And looking around the side, yeah, it looks fairly dry then, but then again that's just after it's reached its state of being full, and it takes time for water to seep out. Yes, there's some of the decoration, taking a few snaps around the pond there. You see those black bricks holding the thing. Now looking next door, yeah, I think I can just see some dampness, but it's very difficult to say. It's certainly better than it was. That was at 7 o'clock in the evening. Yes, there's Snoopy's robot boat. June's rustling up evening dinner, and yeah, I decided to unplug the power for the pump. It's easier to see then the depth gauge, otherwise you've got all that splashing of water. And yeah, so it's lots of photos I can look back at if I need to double check something rather than remember in memory. It looks as though that is practically full. So June's just called dinner, so I go in and fill my plate. Yes, Toadie's coming to have some as well. Take my dinner into Robin's naughty corner in the lounge with comfortable seating, coming up to 8 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, and yes, checking the pond. Yes, it's, what is that, 1/4 of an inch? Yeah, so it's not much different as far as I can see. It looks as though there is some dampness, but you can't be really sure. Realise it may take time for what was there to dry, but the very fact it drops tells you that you've got a problem. And so filling up the feeder at the front for the peanuts, and I've already put the peanuts out on the top pond and put the peanuts back where they're normally kept in the untidy games room. Right, so that is now using the torch to check outside. Yes, you can see the water has dropped. Maybe not as much, but yeah, look at that, a little over an inch perhaps. Put the tracker on charge. Yeah, have an early night, 9:30. June's watching the tennis. So that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 9th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot that day. Yes, Toadie on guard duty on top of one of the cars, and yes, you see him in one or two places. And yeah, work on the pond was an activity, nice warm temperature, 10 degrees centigrade, so I was able to do a bit of work on that because I had something else coming up in the day. Yes, we thought, right, run out of cement, so June took me into Wickes at Bracknell to pick up some more tubs of cement. Yeah, there's a photo trail coming back, and I was able to get that work done. Yeah, hard work it was, in time, oh yes, to have lunch and a get together of ESAM's guys at Pine Ridge. So looking at there, June said you better change your trousers and shoes. So off to Pine Ridge Golf Course, and we enjoyed the little bit of time we had there. And then yeah, I thought, right, the next thing, Addleston Model Centre. I wanted some materials for a little measurement device to see the depth a little better, and then popped into Hobbycraft on the off chance that we could get the materials, but I didn't see them there. I was looking for some little numbers. Yes, on the way back through Chobham and then Sunninghill and then home, 4:10 in the afternoon. And yes, water is still, at that time it looked as though water in full very long. Yeah, look at the tracker, anybody could see where I was. Pine Ridge Golf Course, and yeah, back home. And yeah, so it's coming up to 25 to 6, I think. Yes, I could see water start to come through there again. Now that's this bright idea, using the materials I'd bought. and of course I used June's electric hob. It was a fiddly process, I must admit, but ended up with basically 1-inch spaced bits of wire coming across, no numbers on them, but I thought it might end up with a neater means. Oh yes, it was a Wednesday, so printed out the COVID graph, total deaths, not just COVID, and June's rustled up whatever that was. Evening dinner, I guess. Yeah, put the peanuts out, and yes, including the feeder. Listen to the Radio 4 news, put the tracker on charge, and have an early night, I expect I'm going to say next, yes. So that was it. That was the end of the summary. So now on the photos in the order shot, started with, yeah, in the morning sometime, late morning probably, June watching tennis. Of course, work on the pond is the main activity, and so it's the usual routine. Recently, yeah, that's overnight. It's dropped, whatever that is, 2 inches, 2.5 inches. Nice warm temperature, 10 degrees centigrade, and siphoning the water out. So the water drops, yeah, coming up to 10 to 11, and that way you can see where water's leaking back into the pond through suspect spots. So obviously one can freeze frame if one needed to, but anyhow, so the siphon's still doing its job. Oh, looks like I decided I needed some stone there. Yeah, so I broke off that bit. It was surplus to requirements around the side. Put things back in the right place, so that little hammer goes back in the workshop area, and those fragments of slab or whatever it was, they're probably the right thing to sort of trap the cement. And of course, using that PVA sealant with the water, yes, and of course running out of time, so I think I'd run out of cement there. So June kindly gave me a lift through to Bracknell, I think that is. So a few photos along the route, including coming out of South Ascot, past the station, past the, yeah, into the middle of Ascot. So a few snaps along the way, and of course we're on the way to Bracknell. So coming into Bracknell now, yes, there's the college, a glimpse of the old manor. Remember that from a long time ago, late 60s. And right, there we go, Wicks. So pick up the 5 tubs, I think, and I thought I'd get myself a bottle of Coca-Cola as well. So yeah, so 5 to 12. Realising I wanted to get home and do that bit of work and get off to the get-together with the ESAMS guys over at Pine Ridge. So coming past a few landmarks on the route from Bracknell into Ascot, past, yeah, the racecourse there, and the middle of Ascot, and past the fire station, and yeah, the Swindy pub in South Ascot. Yeah, we've got roadworks going on at the moment, gas I think. And right, so back home, so take the tubs out. Only one is really needed immediately, so that I can slap that cement in the suspect spots that have been found. Yeah, temperatures come up nicely, over 12 degrees centigrade there. And so did that bit of cementing, yeah, hard work. And yeah, so most of that was in the area on the right hand side near where the water goes out of the pond. Right, so yes, Samantha had rustled up scrambled egg on toast with salmon for me. So yes, I was able to relax for a little while, enjoy that. And that reminded me, yes, that's where we're off to next, the get together. Had a phone call, in fact, from Alexander, and he appears on the East Sounds page. Yeah, so coming up to 1 o'clock, and I'm guessing I might have been decided to turn the tap on then. Let's just see. I think yes, there we go. The tap has just been turned on. So the fast setting cement had long enough. So at 1 o'clock, the tap was filled on to fill the pond, and roughly speaking, that's whatever it is, less than 3 hours normally to fill. Yes, June said, you better change your shoes and trousers. There, am I smart enough now? So we're off now. Those tubs can stay there for the moment. That's the cement. So now we're off to, yeah, that's along the A30, I think. Past Holt Grove School, near Longacres. And a few landmarks along the route. Yes, that pub on the right, remember that one. Yeah, we're coming up to the and they're on our way, making their way to Pine Ridge Golf Course over the motorway. Yes, they're past the ranges and things. There we go, into Pine Ridge Golf Course, and of course there's a bar, cafe and things. So yeah, so we didn't take many photos in there. I expect people didn't want that many, but you get a flavour of the place. And of course we had some enjoyable chats with several guys. So came out of there, and I'd already decided I could do with something else, background work on the pond. And we thought, right, next place is Addleston Models. So June used the sat nav as a reminder of the best route to go, and into Addleston, I think that is. Yes, able to park in the Tesco car park. I went across the road to Addleston Model Centre, came away with bits of brass, model control stuff, but it's brass tube and brass wire. And so we're now on our way back. I thought we'd go via Hobbycraft. I was hoping to get some small numbers, but had a good look round and didn't see anything that was suitable. I can say now that recording this the next day, I've ordered what look like the right things from for delivery Saturday, a couple of days. That'll be on another photo trail. Yeah, so we're on our way back through Chobham, that looks like. And over that stream. Yes, lady on a horse. Past the Chobham Club that's being improved. And yeah, so we're making our way now across Chobham Common, over the motorway that is, I think. And yeah, on our way to Sunninghill. Yeah, past the Monument car park and into Sunninghill. Centre of Sunninghill. And making our way, bit blurred that one. Yes, right, up the rise. So we're coming into Sunninghill now. Yes, there's the post office, there's the Cords Hall, there's the theatre, there's the Rajvuj, Jade Fountain, the Jade, and yeah, the Sun Cafe, 3-1 Barbers, yeah, the Flame and the new Tesco, Comrades Club. Oh, yeah, there's work going on there, look, significant work. And into Armitage Court and home at number 22. There we go, 4:10 in the afternoon, and yeah, so that's how things are going. I think the timing was pretty good actually, because I think we timed it about the time the pond was full. It looks like it was just turn the tap off. I think, yeah, we guessed roughly what time, but it worked out exactly right. So no time wasted. And that was dry at that point, so, oh no, I must have seen some moisture because I gave a thumbs down. Some moisture coming through there. So a few photographs looking around, but need to check next door because it's very difficult to see with that bright sunlight. It looked as though it was okay when that photograph was taken, but I think it was the lighting. So, and of course it may have been too soon from when the pond was full, hadn't had a chance to work its way through. Yeah, so the pond was well overflowing there. That's the little depth marker, shows it's full. Look on the tracker, yes, that was their journey for the day, starting at Pine Ridge Golf Club and then over to other places and back home. Yeah, 22 Armitage Court just here. About 25 to 6 that looks like. And of course with time it looks as though it's dropped a bit there. It looks like about quarter of an inch it's dropped. So then looking through, difficult to see with that sunlight, but yes, I think I could see water has been getting through. It didn't seem as bad as it's been, but you can't be sure. Oh yeah, it's on the closed circuit TV. Toady up to mischief, so let's go out and join him. Not mischief, he's just relaxing in the sun, I think. You should be on guard duty, but you can't do that very well when you're sleeping. So, oh, that's that brass tube. That slipped over there quite well. Yeah, there's me on the closed circuit TV. Tricky thing, and sort of marking things with a marker pen. So I decided, right, I need to cut off a length. So go into the workshop area, use the right tool for the job, hacksaw, and a file to file off the burrs, put things back in the right place. So I've now got a length of brass tube, about the right length, and yeah, so then cut off bits of wire, and I think roughly they're about, in old measure, 2 inches length, and then I thought, oh, 4 or 5 of those, 5 of those. Don't tell June because I'm using her electric hob, but in fact the way I did it was a rather silly way, because I was trying to hold it in place when I put solder on, and what I should have done is use wire or something to assemble it before that heating and soldering process. But anyhow, I got away with it, and so no numbers on it, but fine, that's in place now. And of course only by testing it you suddenly see, oh, lots of little things which probably with numbers on it it'd be a lot clearer, but it can be quite confusing when you've got the water nice and transparent and you're looking in through all those little bars. That's on the closed circuit TV. It shows up on that as well. Yeah, that looks as though the pond is full, so it's up on that top, whatever you call it, bar. So 7 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, there you probably a bit clearer there. That's the pond full and it's about the right height. So turn the tap off. Yeah, tap's off, no water coming into the pond. And yeah, still 7 o'clock there. So I don't know what page that was. Oh yes, it was probably the COVID page. I updated that with the latest graph of total deaths. It started during COVID, but it's a very useful guide of any problems. It can be all sorts of problems, health problems, Obviously a natural disaster or something would also have the same effect. Right, so that looks like June's rustled up an evening meal burger, and looking at the closed circuit TV reminded me, yeah, went out there to check the levels, but mostly I'd put the peanuts out. So peanuts on the top bridge, and while I was out there I also checked the water levels using the torch as best I could, and at the front in the porch the bird feeder and the peanut feeder, top that up. That goes down quite a bit every day, and it seems to be mostly foxes, but I think birds also come for them, and hedgehogs as well. I listen to the Radio 4 news, put the tracker on charge, yes, have an early night. June's watching something on the TV, so time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 10th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot that day. Yes, there's Toadie either relaxing or prowling around in our garden, and yeah, temperature's nice, 10 degrees centigrade, and yes, of course most of the work is on the pond, and useful materials, yeah, hard work it is, of course. And June said, "Oh, you better change your shoes and trousers because we've got pub grub." So yeah, and Terry was chauffeur, took Richard and myself to the Duke of Edinburgh at Woodside, Ascot. Enjoyable conversation and food there, and then back past a few landmarks, into the village, through the village, back home. And pub grub was, coffee and biscuits were at Richard and Faye's. Yes, and water is still coming through from the pond. Might be better, but it's still there. So then across for coffee, and then work continues in the afternoon. And that depth gauge, I ordered those numerals to put on it, and yeah, carried on the pond, usual materials, PVA sealant with cement. Back end of the day, June's rustled up food. I take it into Robin's naughty corner, and then live a fox comes for peanuts on the front porch. Then I put the peanuts out on that bridge, and also at the front, top up the feeder. Goes down pretty quick. And yeah, then in the evening, checking the pond again with the torch. Oh, as Anthony contacted me early in the week, he's got these old boards, including from a Ferranti Pegasus. Crikey, that is incredible history on the Ferranti page, that is. Anyhow, have an early night, so time for bed. So now into the photos in the order shot. And of course most of it is so don't forget the step-by-step process working on the pond. Yeah, there's the temperature, quite important to have that warm weather. In cement dries quicker, and of course it's more pleasant working outside. So I've just turned the tap on, and this is a fairly routine check that it's dropped whatever it is, a couple of inches during the night. So I fill it up in order that to see, I think that's the order I'm doing things, to see where it's coming from. So that there is dry coming out, but it takes time for the water to seep through. And of course there's lots of routes possible. So yeah, oh yes, that's the apple tree coming into blossom. And those are old sheets drying out from the previous day. There's Toadie prowling around. Right, so 20 past 10 in the morning. Yeah, there's the depth gauge. And yeah, it's sort of question these tests that are repeated, and then one finds a suspect spot that it's very easy to miss them. Yeah, so it's now only a quarter of an inch from being full, and Yeah, there's the that is full, I think, according to that gauge. Difficult to see because it's under the water. Got to turn the tap off. So now inspecting around, yeah, there's the water. It's overflowing down the little stream that runs down into the second pond. Yeah, the tap's off. A few other odds and ends being done online. June's watching tennis on the TV, and so because what's in the background is I have to realise I've got to go off to pub grub. So yeah, looking good at the moment. And looking round near the fence, and it's, yes, I can see moisture coming through there. So I better look next door. Yes, you can see a puddle there coming through, and yeah, definitely water coming through. It's maybe better than it has been for a month or two, or longer than that, where we had the problem, but it's a very useful indicator. So back round to the pond. Yeah, so now I'm inspecting, looking at places where, yeah, you can't be absolutely sure, but it looks like where water may be coming out. So I'm now siphoning the pond so it's possible to work on it. And yeah, I haven't got very long, you see. Midday is when I'm expecting Terry and Richard to be ready to go. So get what work done I can. Yeah, so rapid acting cement and chip-ins into the various gaps. And yeah, 10 minutes to 12. And right, looks as though, yeah, so I've now turned the tap on and I'm filling the pond. I managed to get that started, realising it takes about 2 3/4 hours to fill now. So that's the record of what it was like when I started the process of filling it up, and fingers crossed it might be better. And yeah, so coming up to midday, so I can relax. Yes, wait. Oh, June, she said, you change your shoes and trousers. Well, I suppose I better do that. Yes. Is Terry appearing on the closed circuit TV? So yeah, and so we're off, and fingers crossed, he says. Well, there's Richard. Oh, Richard came over a few minutes later, which is fine. So we're off through a few places on the way through the village. That was the cinema. So we're coming out of Sunninghill village, and we're on their way. Oh, that used to be the Wells pub. That used to be the courthouse many years ago, and through the Ascot racecourse area, and we're getting close to Woodside now. Yes, and there it is. Oh, it looks like a guy's doing some work up there. And I had sandwiches. I didn't see them on the menu, but when we asked, yes, they did do them. A bit blurred, that picture, but yeah, so didn't take a lot of pictures obviously, but it's a record and to help remember. So we're leaving now. Oh, so we're off. So back alongside the race course, and under that's under where they, yeah, that's the a couple of things. It's too fast for me to be able to stay up with it. I wasn't quick enough with that photo, obviously. Right, there's the Cords Hall, there's the cinema, there's the Jade, or the Jade Fountain as it was, pharmacy, 3-1 barber shop, and the Flame Kebab. That's Richard's place, Richard and Faye's. So I pop home just to see if anything else has popped up particularly quick, but the main thing would probably to see if the pond's full yet. So Yes, that was the flatulent fairy. So there we go, 2:10. And of course I made some guesstimates how long it would take for the pond, so I think the guesstimate is that it wouldn't be full at that stage. And yeah, looking good so far. Yeah, Jude's relaxing in the sunshine. Yeah, there's the depth gauge. Maybe it needed a bit of adjustment, I don't know, don't think so. And yes, I think the tap's still running there. Oh, there's Toady. He was hanging around where June was relaxing. I think that looked about like 2:10. Yeah, so turn the tap off. So it wasn't a bad guess, I think, and when it would, yeah, when the pond would be full, because that can be confusing, because that could be under the water. Yeah, looking at the tracker, and it takes a moment to do that. Yes, anybody could see Robin's at the Duke of Edinburgh Wood. It says Wingfield. Yeah, that's Woodside, Ascot, and back home. And then of course, yeah, back here. And then of course next it was popping over for coffee and bickies and perhaps a bit of cake at Richard and Faye's. But again, quick check, that looked, yeah, looked some moisture coming through there. And yeah, a few snaps there. Yeah, right, so over to Richard and Faye's. Yeah, enjoyed the time there, chatting and coffee, etc. Oh yeah, probably when I came back, yes, it's had more time, and so you definitely can see some water through there. Again, it doesn't seem as bad as it has been, but with all these things you don't know, you've got to keep testing it, and it shouldn't happen at all. So right, because I'm back in now. Yes, there's the tracker coming from Richard and Faye's across back home. And 3:50 in the afternoon. So again, checking things. Yes, it is quite difficult to see. It looks as though it's dropped about an inch in that time. Don't think it's dropping quite as fast, but no, it's still not fixed. Definitely water still coming under the fence there. Excuse me. Oh yes, and then I ordered those. They look just the job to put little numerals. Well, they're a little over half an inch high, and in fact there was a bit of discussion too after that, which is they seem to be brass gold plated. They could be plastic. Won't know until they arrive. Right, I've just turned the tap on, and yeah, 4:45. So it's a repeated process of looking where there are problems and attending to them in terms of putting cement and sealant there, and then testing again. Right, that looks like I'm siphoning now. 5:10 in the late afternoon. Oh, Toadie's decided to prowl around, probably inspecting the work. Right, that's a lot clearer. It's about an inch. Dropped about an inch, and yes, I can see some spots that are sort of appearing. Some of them are the same spots, but water is still flowing back into the pond when the water has dropped from, well, some outer skin, I suppose you could describe it. And so it's the same old process of, yeah, rapid cement, a bit of water on it, and yeah, so you're seeing where the water's coming from, and yeah, so I thought, yeah, that whole patch there was, yeah, there's some of those chip-ins that we've got from the front, rather than just cement. Chip-ins help bulk it up and firm it. Yeah, hard work, of course. Not sure what that black picture was there. And yeah, coming up nice, nearly 15 degrees centigrade, so it's getting warmer. 6 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, listen to the Radio 4 news. Yeah, it's 7:05. They're going out. Yeah, and turn the tap on, probably because I'd given it time for that cementing to set, and that looks as though, yeah, so you say that whatever that is, was it 5 inches or so? But you make some rough calculations of at what rate it's going to fill. I think it's of the order of 15 or 20 minutes an inch, so you make a guess on when it's going to be full. June's rustled up food. I've taken that into the naughty corner, and then I see live a fox appearing on the closed circuit TV coming for the peanuts in the front porch, and then yeah, that's the other cameraman running off, and reminds me, oh, I better put the peanuts out. So put the peanuts out on the top bridge out the back. Yeah, take a look at the pond at the same time. Yeah, it looks like it's about an inch low. So I guess that 7:15, I'd probably make it, I'm guessing that was filling the pond, and I'd guess that it would be full by about 8:15, if I've got it right. Yeah, so that's topping up the peanut feeder, and then there's that gone down low, which is the bird feeder near the flatulent fairy, and then put the peanuts back where I'm keeping them at the moment, which is in the, yeah, it's Toady looking, thinking he wants to come in. Okay, in you come then, Toady. He's coming into the kitchen. Yeah, time to have something to eat, he says. June's watching the tennis. 8:20, and yeah, having to use the torch there to check the pond, and looks like I've just turned the tap off, and yeah, don't see very much in those conditions. It looked as though it was still dry then, but it takes time for water to seep through. Fingers crossed, at least fingers crossed it'll be better. And and that's Anthony, I think it is, who contacted me at the beginning of the week, and he had these boards of old Ferranti computers, and that brought back memories of the old Ferranti Pegasus. 1949 it was in production, I think. Yes. So that was good. And yeah, after 9 o'clock, check the pond again, and yeah, it looks wet there coming out, and with numbers on it, that gauge might be a bit clearer. So 10:05, and yeah, let's have an early night. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 11th of April 2025, starting with the summary of the photo shot that day. Yes, Toady appears in one or two places further through the photo trails. There he was, and also Bentley from opposite, patrolling around and keeping an eye on what I was doing. And yeah, temperature was coming up to nicely 20 degrees centigrade, and the other women are playing tennis. The tracker shows them doing that, and they got back okay. And yeah, so usual routine of finding suspect spots and using those materials to put material there. And for the first time I'm using that, it gets very messy, drive seal. And yeah, so yeah, Samantha's rustled up scrambled egg and toast. And the bright idea was plant containers, after getting materials from Wicks, yes, the usual cement, and also some lawn feed, which and then those containers from Longacres. June knew where they were. Yeah, tracker could show trips out. That was June's tracker. And yeah, back in, and yeah, they're off to tennis again later in the day, but they've got to unload the materials we bought. Yes, see them off to the tennis club and get in there. And because I'm using those materials, or some of them, need to have them available. So it's 25 to 7. I've just turned the tap off, and yeah, looking next door, yeah, looking okay at the moment. It's the old story. You need to give it time for any water to work its way through. Right, peanuts going out. Not only the back, but also the front. June's rustled up food for evening dinner, and I relax in Robin's naughty corner, and then decide I'll have an early night. So that's the end of the summary. So now the photos in the order I shot them, probably middle late morning. Looks like they're just back from tennis, and June's tracker is working okay. Yes, there they are, getting back home. 22 Armitage Court, 11:15. So going out, and of course I might have done a load of work earlier when I got up, but these are the ones where I was taking photographs, so that I had a record. Yeah, so that's dropped about 2 inches overnight. So it looks as though I'm siphoning now to get more water out, so it's easier to work on. So 5 to 11 in the morning, and I'm guessing the siphoning will have done its job in 10 or 15 minutes normally. And yeah, looking at spots that look a bit suspect, because when the water drops down, then water can seep in. So right, switched over to the bilge pump now to get a little more out of the pond, so it's easier to work on. 10 past 11, and yeah, it's getting lower. Every now and again I have to force myself to have a relax, especially when you're waiting for something to happen like the pond to empty. Right, coming up to 11:15. Yeah, look at the sundial, get some checks on that, see what the errors are. So sometime or other, maybe next year, I'm going to adjust the position of those numbers. And yeah, took a few snaps around the garden. Yeah, temperature at that point was up at 15, and of course don't need that woolly cardigan, so switched to something a little more lightweight. Yeah, looks like the women, yeah, on their way back perhaps, or am I looking at the trackers there? Right, so now, yes, that's the bilge pump finished. Yes, those sheets, dust sheets or whatever you call them, that's the means of mopping up the remaining puddle at the bottom, and basically by throwing the sheets in and then walking around on them to make sure the water soaks up. Although, silly Robin, I gave myself a load more time work, because I should have used the bin to bail the water out, so there was more water in there. So normally I siphon, then there's me talking about, there's getting materials for the spots that I saw were suspect. So more, hard work it was. Yes, the emptying the pond is siphoning, This is it, trying to catch up on the commentary. So yeah, more of the drive seal. 1:45. Yeah, it's messy getting it all on my hands. And if I get a chance, I'll say, because the pictures have got most of the information, siphon the pond, then the bilge pump, then bail it out with a bin, and then soak it out with the sheets. Right, lovely sunny weather, 1:45 in the afternoon. Look at the temperature coming up towards 20 now. Fingers crossed it's going to make things better. And yeah, that's where Toadie was hiding around. 1:45, temperature coming up 19 degrees, approaching 20. Oh, scrambled egg on toast. Samantha managed to get that for me. And then looking at suitable boxes, and it seems that window boxes, I call them boxes, they're plant containers. So rather than just use bits and pieces you had, thought get plant containers that we can arrange to be probably suspended strongly around the edge, just at the right level, just below probably the low water level, when assuming it still drops. So now photo trail going through the village, Cords Hall and the post office and the Morris School. Yeah, General Eisenhower had his bunker there during the war. Then across Chobham Common, through Chobham, there's the Chobham Club, the having work done on it. Quite a lot of lovely old landmarks there. Church, of course. And of course June's very familiar with the routes to these places. Sometimes she switched on the sat nav. But anyhow, Wicks at Knapp Hill, or you look it up, it's Wicks at Woking, they say. And yeah, so the cement, and also that stuff that June said was the right stuff, which is for the front lawn, that had been neglected. So on our way back through Chobham, and yeah, so we thought, well, we'd put some water down on the front lawn and also kill the moss ideally, and feed the grass. So we're coming on our way, looks like the Windlesham route back. Oh yes, because we're going to pop into Longacres. Yeah, into Longacres. And I went to click and collect first, but it was June who found where those were. I looked around and I couldn't find them, but she found them. Right, so on our way back along the A30, where we turn off. Yes, on our way to Sunninghill now, past Charters School, past the Grand area, King's Beaches. Yeah, roadworks on that corner. Into Armitage Court, and back home. Oh yes, I'd been leaving the front lawn watering, so we got holes in the hose, but doing a good job actually, sprinkling the right patch of front garden. So there you go, wasn't planned but worked out okay. Yes, some water. You can see that drive seal on my hand still. Right, so thumbs down there. That was my tracker. Didn't work, but June's tracker did, so I could look at the history of that. And yes, I think I'd left it switched off, I think, somehow. Probably got switched off by accident. Yeah, that's June's tracker. And mine just shows those positions here. Oh yes, that's, yeah, the sprinkling going on the front, and the hose running into the pond to fill it up. So it's 4 o'clock at that stage. Yeah, over 20 there, coming up to 22 centigrade. just the weather for doing this sort of work, where you want things to dry, and of course a bit of breeze helps as well. Add some of that. That's that depth gauge, and yeah, so improvising. I thought that brick might be a good way of holding in the cement and chippings, and of course the PVA sealant. And so looking around at places, that's where at that stage no water had appeared where it comes up on our side of the fence, but you need to give it time. So looks like the pond's still filling there. Now are they off to tennis again? Oh yes, so and Tony comes out. Yeah, so unload the stuff we bought earlier in our trip to Wicks and then Longacres. There's Toadie. So they're off, and yes, hello Toadie. Yeah, I wonder what sort of mischief he's going to get up to. Yeah, relax a bit. Yeah, the tractor's working, so you can see them on their way to the tennis court. Yes, past the station and to the tennis court. Yeah, they got there. Yeah, that's all working okay. So leave it on the screen, get on with real hard work. So it's 5:30, temperature 20 degrees centigrade, and yeah, it's still got 4 inches to go, because you make guesses of how long that takes by the yeah, I was guessing at 4 o'clock or after 4. Yeah, look at all that stuff got knocked over. Yeah, so that is the lawn feed. I put that in the right place, which is on the front porch, and those plant containers. Oh, there's Bentley inspecting things. He says, oh, anything worth having there? Yeah, you don't go pinching anything, Bentley. Right, so bring those tubs, and they're normally kept round at the summer house, the spare tubs of fast setting cement. Oh yes, dandelions coming into, well, more than flower. Yes, they work quite well. So looks like they're on their way back. Yes, back here. 5:45 now. Yes, there's Snoopy's robot boat and Snoopy the Viking on the front. Oh yes, here they're arriving. And there's Bentley over the road, relaxing and sunbathing. Yes, there's June's tracker, because that managed to find her keys that she'd dropped in the village a few months earlier. Hello, Toadie. Right. Oh yes, there'd been some discussion, Richard, whether those were brass or plastic, and June looked up, and sure enough, tucked away, it did say plastic, but there's still some doubt about it, because one of the customers complained or put feedback to say it wasn't metal, it wasn't plastic as they said, but metal. So well, find out in slower time. They arrived today. Got a look at those, because I'm recording this day after. No rush to check things like that. Yeah, just put in garden ornaments, pond ornaments in sensible places. Now at that stage there was no water coming through, but 6:30 I think that was, in the evening. And that shows the level, yeah, 1/4 inch down. That's, yeah, very, so that is practically overflowing full. Yeah, so tap can be turned off. Yes, no water going into the pond now. 25 to 7, and June's watching tennis, of course, and looking round next door. It looks okay at that stage. You can't be sure, but time to put the peanuts out on the top bridge at the back, and on the bird feeder near the flatulent fairy, and top up the peanut feeder. It goes down quite a bit every day, mostly overnight. The foxes come in, and hedgehogs at the moment, and of course birds during the day. Now going out the back, 5 to 8 in the evening. Yeah, still nice temperature, 15 or 16 degrees centigrade. Yeah, you can see that depth gauge, if you call it that, has dropped 1/4 of an inch or so. So just sort of photos around. We're getting to the stage now. Obviously the priority is finding and fixing leaks, particularly since it's difficult to do anything decorative, let alone plants or wildlife, when you're still working on it. Right, June's rustled up food, so I take that into Robin's naughty corner in the lounge, sat in front of the closed circuit TV. June's watching something on the TV. Yeah, put the tracker on. Yeah, have another early night. So time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 12th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot that day. And in fact, that was one of the last photos shot on my smartphone, because the other little camera had packed up. Anyhow, yeah, back to the camera I've been using. So women are back from tennis. There's the robot boat, and on the closed circuit TV I checked out that, well, I think it was fox poo that they noticed when they came in. Anyhow, back to work in the garden, and yeah, the pond had dropped about 2 inches overnight, which is better than it has been. And of course I could see, yeah, turn the tap on in order to, yeah, and temperatures coming up nicely, and a delivery by the postman using the smartphone. And that's what I was expecting, to make a better job of those little depth markers. Yes, messy work. Yeah, temperatures coming up nicely, 20, and it looks as though less water's coming through next door than was. And Samantha managed to make scrambled egg on toast with salmon for me, and that was for lunch. So carry on with work, siphoning the water out of the pond now to drop it. Temperature still coming up, 22, which means fast setting cement. Now that's where the camera failed, and I recognised I needed chip-ins for the next job, so we missed out the trip out to pick up stuff, and that was the end of the job. And so now into the photos as shot. So that's the women coming back from tennis, caught on closed circuit TV, and Samantha seems to be looking at, yeah, and June, what's that? Yes, looks like something's pooed down there. I had my suspicions. Yeah, there's Snoopy's robot boat and Snoopy the Viking on the front, and so the answer is, oh, past the flatulent fairy, sorry about that. And so check out the closed circuit TV, and you could see it there. That was quite recent. So then you look, yes, and they look to be the culprits, or one of them, 2 foxes, and of course they come for peanuts. Probably one was waiting his turn. Yes, there we go. And right, So now back to work in the garden. This has been going on for a couple of months now and gradually making progress. Now there's the depth gauge, and that shows it's only dropped about 2 inches overnight. Yeah, so it's better than it had been, slowly. And then of course you see, now how about marking those spots with coins? Another use for money. Yes, I can see after dropping the pond I could see where water was coming back from the outer layer, I suppose. So yeah, so I've just turned the tap on, and yeah, at that time it was dry on our side of the fence, and then go round the other side, and of course it's a bit early for it to make its way out, but I couldn't see any recent water there on the slabs on Kevin and Dawn's side. Yeah, so yeah, it looks as though about 1.5 inches is it to go. So still looking for spots. Yeah, that's the things that we'd bought the day before, I think, and then looking at where they might go, but that's one thing at a time. Fix those leaks is the priority job. 11:20. Yeah, temperature still climbing, means it's not only pleasant for relaxing and working in. Oh yeah, it's a delivery, Royal Mail, our Mr. Postman, and interesting, he goes through the same routine that's been common now for couriers. Yeah, taking photographs of evidence that he'd delivered before he pushed it through the door. Yeah, well done. Yeah, and that's the package I was expecting on Amazon, which are those little brass gold plated numbers, and there was some debate whether it might be plastic, because the advert on Amazon was a bit ambiguous, to say the least, but it looked as though they were metal. And yeah, turn the tap off, so that means the pond, yeah, and that's the little depth gauge. I was thinking those numbers going on that sometime, and other places. And yeah, so water is beginning to seep through now, and it takes time. You normally have to give it probably an hour to work its way right the way through, certainly through to next door, and hopefully that'll be fixed soon. Oh, sundial, yes, do some spot checks on that. You can see the difference between the actual time. Realise we're talking about Greenwich Mean Time is what a sundial measures. So yeah, and you see those coins I put to mark the spots, and that was a bright idea from Terry at pub lunch. But don't tell June, I nicked some of her stuff from the kitchen. I thought plastic drinking straws would be the job. I couldn't find any of those, but I found those sticks, and I thought, yes, if I put them at the right level, which is when there, so I went into the workshop area. Yes, probably could do things better, but right, sprayed them with white paint, and yes, and then some outdoor varnish afterwards. And didn't use a brush, I used that whole bit of metal. Now, if I use a brush, I'd have to clean it afterwards, wouldn't I? Yeah, put those things back in the right place in the workshop area. Plenty of space there for more things, so it's just a matter of doing things that are high priority. Now, got out that black silicone sealant, because I thought they might be a means of sticking those sticks like that plimsoll line around various points, but of course it's very messy. You can get it on your hands. I've got it on the blooming camera as well, I think, the pocket camera. Anyway, put it back in the right place. Perhaps contact spray adhesive. Yeah, clean my hands on one of the old dust sheets. Yeah, so spray that on. That might be a way of holding it. Put it back in the right place. Yes, make sure you put things back where they can be found. In the workshop area, that was, back to the pond. And it's now overflowing, and that seemed to match up with the, yes, 0. Obviously when it's actually flowing over top, 20 degrees centigrade now. And yeah, it's starting to moisture started to come out our side of the fence, so let's look next door. But yeah, it still looks good there. You can't be sure. Is that dampness further over, or was that from the day before? I'm sure it's better. We had massive puddles there. Oh, up at 21 now. And yeah, so it's had some time and it's dropped probably about an inch. Yeah, probably about that. Go round again, have a look. Yes. No, water coming through there. But of course that's not a problem there. And looking next door again, as far as you can see, it still looks good. So it's certainly getting better each day, I think, but certainly in recent days. Oh, Samantha's rustling up scrambled egg on toast for Robin. Learning how to do things from June. Yes. That's it. There's the smoked salmon. And June's watching tennis. Gosh, that's a surprise. And Samantha's just delivered my scrambled egg on toast. So, enjoy that. And, yes. Oh, they're dry by now. That's a bit later, of course. So, I can take those out and, right. I stuck them with duct tape temporarily to get them at what I thought was the correct position, since the pond had dropped about an inch, I think, about an inch above the water line. And then various means of sort of tacking them in place, combinations of things. Yes, he says, don't forget, siphon the water out. So we're now siphoning water out of the pond, 2:45 in the afternoon. And of course, when you siphon the water out after it's been high for a while, then water seeps out in the suspect spots, because effectively you've got a jacket of water from other layers. Pond. Right, there's a coin I dropped into the pond by accident. Right, 2:50 in the afternoon, and yeah, I think we finished the siphoning now, so that can be thrown out of the way. And yeah, so the pond's respectively low to have a look round for where there needs to be work done. And of course the work is the usual PVA sealant, or a bit like glue, and fast setting cement. And you can see the little trickle where it's coming out of certain spots. And yeah, temperature up to 22 degrees centigrade. Really a case of grabbing these opportunities. So, you know, if there's rain it makes it difficult. That looks like 3 inches. Yeah, because the water level is gradually coming up. Yeah, so the water's on. And yeah, I probably just adjusted the position of the hose a little bit. So the water level is gradually coming up, and that's where the camera failed, and I'd recognised we needed to get, we went out to Long Acres and got a load of chip-ins, and that was what was missing for the next job. We also got some other things. So, and that's the work I did in putting more cement and chip-ins and PVA glue in. So that is the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 13th of April 2025. Just less than a minute of photos shot the next day as a reminder to myself on what was done on the pond. And yeah, that camera had packed up, the one on my knee, so ordered one that came the next day, and I'm checking that out today. And yeah, those boxes, the smaller ones, is what we got from Long Acres, along with topsoil and of course fast setting cement from Wicks for the work, and actually started the process of putting those plant boxes in. So that's the end of the photo trial, and that's it. Monday the 14th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yes, that camera on my knee had packed up, so basically started familiarising ourselves with that new camera that came through. Very cheap at £30 with everything included, but took a while to get used to it and still learning. Yes, so progress on the pond, and yeah, testing the camera now, and there may be a video clip amongst this lot. So yes, there's usual tests on the pond. Topsoil, starting to put soil into the plant containers, and yes, installing those little ring things to suspend stuff from. Fingers crossed. Go around, look next door over the fence or over the gate. Yeah, looking good. I haven't spoken to them recently, but it looks better than rather than worse. Yeah, nobody's moved those bags around the back yet, or the side. Listen to the Radio 4 News. Now thinking about that Perspex heron hide, and yeah, got the bits for it. Yeah, put some of that all in one to kill moss and fertilise the grass. It needs what rain. We've got rain coming in the early hours, but I sprinkled it first anyhow, so hopefully that's done. Samantha comes back from her second dose of tennis. They watch it on the telly, so that would have been the end. Right, that is the end of the summary. Now these are the pictures taken with the smartphone. Yeah, Toadie prowling around, and yes, inspecting my work, and those containers are starting to go into place. That's for so that it's easier to work on the pond if we have to, rather than the plants being actually more built into the pond. And hopefully you won't see the difference when the plants are growing. Right, that's that camera, so I unpacked that and familiarised myself. June helped a lot on that, and she recognised the C-type connector. And yes, here's some test pictures taken with it. No, it's not, because all these things are going on in parallel. That's still work on the pond. Yeah, 5 to 11 now. I can tell by the aspect ratio of the pictures on the smartphone, and afraid these cheap little cameras are still the old 4 to 3 ratio. Better than nothing. That's 4 to 3 right. This is where I'm testing that camera, and here's the video clip. At the sound level is probably very low. Yeah, test recording, he said. Yeah, so need to find out how to use the volume control on it. Right, so that was the test of the camera, and now I've switched to that, and I'm still familiarising myself with the user interfaces. Very difficult in terms of what sequence of buttons you press. Anyhow, I can see I'm siphoning the pond to drop it a bit for the usual thing of looking for where water's creeping back from outside. And yes, a bit blurred, of course. Now, that one's not so bad. Yeah, I find the focusing process is it's automatic. Right, so water's dropped sufficiently, don't need the siphon now. So looking around for where it could justify having some cement. Yes, that little area after the overflow, or as it goes down the stream, because there's loads of routes. Water might be coming out of the pond full and then under the patio. So now putting soil in one of those containers. That was one of the first ones I put in, and then gradually thinking, yes, you need to drill holes in the containers for several reasons. One is the process of suspending them. I'm using that wire at the moment, and that is a simple solution. And of course you need to drill holes in them, otherwise they just float about. Obviously less likely with soil in, but it's really the process one goes through for the installation. Right, found a way of topping up the pond with those containers still there. 4:15, now it's 20:05, and the pond's full and overflowing. Yeah, so turn the tap off, and although one can look around for water coming out, yeah, so it's wet there, but that may not be the more serious leak that is going through to next door. But the answer is we're trying to find any leak and fix it. So that is now coming up to 20 to 6. Alright, so we've got 2 plant containers, and for the moment I'm using those bricks to weigh them down, keep them in the water before we get through to putting soil in there. Fingers crossed, he says, things might be better in terms of water leaking. Have a look over the gate next door, and yes, looks better. There's some dampness down the end, but it's nowhere near as bad as it seemed to have been, but we don't know. Just carry on doing what we're doing. So while we're fixing leaks, it's worth doing. There's Snoopy's robot boat. You notice occasionally focus problems. Radio 4 news. Right, now got the materials ready for the Perspex heron hide. I didn't get around to doing that to the next day, which is when I'm recording this. Looks like I've put the peanuts out. There were some peanuts that hadn't been taken, probably because birds didn't come down when I was busy out there. So looking at water levels, yes, time to put out that. We've had that several days on the front lawn, and so sprinkled it over. Easy job, didn't take very long. Yeah, there we are on the closed circuit TV, and then got the hose out and sprinkled water on it. That didn't come out very well, did it? That was with that new camera. And they're watching tennis, and yeah, he says, what is there? Oh, that's the rain forecast to come in the early hours. Quite heavy doses, relatively speaking, although we don't get heavy rain in Sunninghill normally. Right, so that looks like the timing was good of putting that lawn stuff down. There's Samantha coming back from tennis, and of course she joins June in the kitchen watching the tennis on the TV. Yes, so have another early night, so time for bed. Yeah, apart from taking that picture, and that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 15th of April 2025, starting with the summary of the photo shot that day, and of course the priority work was that on the pond, and I'm also using that other camera, and I'm still learning how to use it properly. Complicated, but anyhow, better than nothing. And yeah, notice there's a date time stamp in the bottom. Yeah, temperature 12 degrees centigrade. Yeah, it's quite warm for things like using rapid concrete and things. Oh yeah, there's the tracker that June's got. June and Samantha are shopping at Tesco Martin Heron. Yeah, there's a glimpse of some drive sill. Not the ideal conditions to put it on, but better than nothing. And yeah, they're on their way back, so I'm going out, and there they are coming back. And yeah, help with at least one bag of the shopping. Let Samantha do most of the work. Learn how to do it. Yeah, a heavy shower of rain coming through prompted me to look at the Met Office site, and also what sort of plants, because we're going to pop out and get some plants for the pond. We've got the places to put them now, those containers. And yeah, Maidenhead Aquatics first, and came away with some suitable plants and also a couple of rocks bought on impulse. And then Longacres, and also got some plants really for the around the sides and other spots in the garden. Yeah, so yeah, continue work on the pond, put the plants probably where they're likely to go, and then look next door. Yeah, I can't see any water coming through. I mean, it's not a good day with showers, but it looks as though it's been getting better rather than worse over the last few weeks. and of course it's a solid 2 months of work been going on that pond. Right, June's rustled up food for the evening. I take it into Robin's naughty corner. Yeah, closed circuit TV shows Toadie, and June's watching the tennis, and I have another early night. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order of the shot. Now mostly, so I remember things. Now that white long thing you saw was a bright idea of, after tidying it up, for measuring depth. In fact, along that was about a 1 inch drop. Yeah, there's me trying to work out how to do things on that camera, and that was the bright idea, which was a heron, we call it a heron screen, so that you could still see the fish through that perspex. But anyhow, there's Samantha rustling up scrambled egg on toast for Robin. Yeah, it's good to learn how to do things in the house. And yeah, so there's a case of a couple of holes that ended up, yeah, little rule plugs ended up going in there. It's just getting things structurally okay, and then they can be tidied up in slower time. Right, there's Robin's scrambled egg on toast. And yes, that's probably after, because there's cement being put in as well when I'm doing these jobs. And yeah, put things back in the right place, or get them out from where they're needed. Yeah, so there's the drill. Put this battery on charge. Yeah, don't forget to do that. See, that picture was blurred because I haven't got the use of that camera right yet. I find the focusing mechanism really confusing. Right, yeah, 12 degrees centigrade. Sufficiently warm for things like the fast setting cement. And what else? Yes, Toadie decided to come in and relax near Robin's naughty corner. Oh yes, that's the women. Looks like they've just got to Tesco Martin Heron. Yeah, 10 to 3. Siphoning water out of the pond. I don't think I chose to siphon much, just enough needed to, that looked like, no, it might have been 4 inches. Just enough for the work I was doing. And yes, that serves quite well as a depth gauge at the moment, but we do these things more artistically and clearer in slower time. All a matter of priorities. Yes, they're doing their shopping. I'm relaxing for a few minutes. And yeah, bit of drive still. Yeah, I would have preferred better conditions to do it, but it was a case of grabbing the chance while you can. Oh yes, started to put things in there, possibly like that crocodile. Yeah, full-size crocodile practically. Yeah, is putting things in to see if there's any problems. Now it looks like the women are on their way back from shopping. Yeah, the tracker shows them coming through South Ascot, and they'll be here within a few minutes. So yeah, go out, and there they are arriving. A bit blurred, that picture, you notice. Yeah, help them out with the shopping, but let Samantha do most of it. There's the one bag I brought in. And look, a heavy shower of rain coming on now. And that affects things if you're doing work out in the garden, but also the materials you're using. If you just put cement or paint on something, that's not very helpful. Yeah, look at it belting down there. And looking at the rain radars, the Met Office one, I find that's very good if you look at the past data and then extrapolate it forward, but the forecasted looks as though it's out using alternatives to the rain radar, I suspect. But anyhow, then looking at marginal plants to remind myself what type we need, and we've got the places for them now. And also, of course, around the sides above the water level. So we're off. June's driving, of course, and first place is Maidenhead Aquatics, so pick up loads of plants there and a couple of rocks on inspiration, and then across to Longacres. Yeah, belting down with rain, but yeah, came away with good stuff there. What was nice is the area where the plants were is now covered. Yep, past that lovely memory piece, and past a few places on our way home over the border into Berkshire, past the Berestead and some houses in the village. Oh yes, June took a different route because the amount of massive queue of traffic coming into the village. Right, and there was a pause in the rain, so unloaded the stuff, and yeah, all those petals coming off, and that water there, that's our soakaway in front of the garage, and I thought, oh, that's a job to be done. But then later in the photo trail I saw that it had drained away, so obviously a little bit I'd scooping mud out, or probably months ago, done a bit of good. Yeah, so a few snaps around the garden, and just as a snapshot on that day, there we go, you can see the date at the end, the 15th, and yeah, there's a little memory of a pussycat, heart a lot, or Gingy as June called him. Yes, coming back 6:25 in the evening. Turn the tap on because I decided it wouldn't make much difference, and we'll see. There's another test. We had done work related to cementing, and of course it's a mixture of re-cementing areas where suspect leaks and tidying up, of making it look a bit better when it's finished. So there it looks, it's now overflowing, so it's at right, so turn the tap off, and yeah, almost petals everywhere. So just checking the gauges. Those are little sticks I put, and there's that one. They won't mean very much at the moment because they haven't been tidied up and had numbers on and things like that, but they're structurally coming along. Right, coming up to 7:20 in the evening. There's a blurred picture, that's a better version of it, and you need to give time really before seeing where the water's coming out, and that still shows it wet on our side of the fence but further down, and it looks as though it's better than it has been for a long time, but I haven't spoken to them recently, so looks as though the work that's been going on is giving results. Yeah, topping up the peanuts and the feeder and yes, that's completely gone. That was the birds and squirrels coming for that. There's a flatulent fairy. Yeah, put the peanuts where I'm keeping them for the moment, in the games room, and June's rustled up dinner, so fill up my plate and take it into Robin's naughty corner in the lounge, and there's Toady on the closed circuit TV on the porch, so let him in, and June's watching the tennis, so have an early night. That's the end of the photo trail, and there you go.
I warned you they would be long photo trails, and so before running into that older material, I'm just shooting this little clip here, and I can see the women are on the way back. That's the tracker that June takes with her, so according to that they'll be back shortly. Just coming down through South Ascot at the moment. What's there, look. So, yes, boring stuff, most of this, isn't it? I find it very difficult to do this. I don't get a chance to practice, but yes. It's going to be very, very long, these clips, but I suppose what I'm doing is going out here because I'm expecting them back any moment. And yes, robot boat appears on other clips, and we've had power problems with that and no time to fix it, but it works reliably, and it's been running for months now continuously, except when the power goes down due to not enough light in the winter days. But that's should be fixed with a small change. Oh, and there's Toadie. You coming over to greet them when they come back, Toadie? Yes, this is on the photo trail. Quite recently put down feed and treatment for the moss. Yeah, lots of work needed in the front here. And here they are, just getting back home from their tennis. Yes, here we go. As I say, promotion of the website, gpss.co.uk. Was a business decades ago, but it's now hobbies and charitable causes, like Snoopy's robot boat. Yes, don't forget, Samantha, that stuff has got to be moved around the back. Yes. So, tennis was all right, not too windy for you?
A bit windy.
Yeah, it was a bit, wasn't it? Your tracker's just there, isn't it? A white one? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. Ah, yeah, Tony came out here as well. Right, so into the house, past the flatulent fairy. And now I'm going to drop into that material that was shot a year or two back. Yes, that's the Renoir, lovely, isn't it? And I think that material started about here. Now, what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my Grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the Grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert, shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired, happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say, is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes.
That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worried for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my major weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and
Of course, there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have. Yes, it's now middle of March 2024, and the pond's changed quite a bit. I'll have to change the copyright statement at the end, but the message is the same. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy life while we can. Oh yeah, my hair's grown a bit since then.